Prologue, October 10th. October 10th had always been the worst day of the year for Naruto Uzumaki. It was his birthday, but that obviously didn't make much difference to the villagers of Kanehegakure no Sato. After all, not only was it Naruto's birthdate, it was also the 4-year anniversary of the Kyuubi no Yoko's attack on the village. Naruto was old enough to understand that he was not very well liked in the village. What he didn't understand was why. More than any other day, his birthday was the day the villagers harassed him the most. Naruto hated the eyes of the villagers. He hated how they never seemed to look at him as Naruto Uzumaki. The looks he got would be directed more towards a piece of garbage stuck to someone's shoe than a human child. As he walked through the streets, plenty of those looks were directed his way. Scowling, Naruto kept his head down and ignored them. It was his birthday, and there was no way he was going to sit in his house all alone on his own birthday. Or so he'd thought, until the solid objects started flying his way. The first one smacked him right under his eye, and Naruto flinched back, surprised. His sky-colored eyes met the fiery orbs of a man in his late 50s. He took 3 steps backwards as the man, who appeared quite drunk, staggered towards him. The man caught the off-guard Naruto quite easily. Hauling the boy upwards by his collar, the man screeched into Naruto's face. "You monster! How dare you show your fash here?" His slurred speech continued, calling Naruto several colorful names. Naruto shrank back and squirmed free. He didn't know what those words meant, but the tone was enough warning for him. He knew he had to get out of there before he was seriously hurt. Touching his rapidly swelling eye gingerly, he bolted towards the less populated section of the village, shaking with fear and fury. How dare they? How dare they treat him like something? Something what? Naruto wrapped his arms around himself. Something inhuman? That's what a monster was, right? But Naruto knew he was definitely a human. So what then? Why did they look at him with those hate-filled eyes? What had he ever done to deserve it? Chikusho, Naruto cursed, slamming his fists into the ground. All he received for his troubles were bloody knuckles. Scraping the heels of his hands across his wet eyes, Naruto's body shook with ire. Why? Why do they all hate me? What did I do wrong? He wailed to the sky. His eye hurt. But more than that, his heart hurt. He hadn't expected anyone to answer him. After all, he was alone. But a deep, rumbling voice bubbled into his mind. Why, you ask? Does it really matter why, Gaki? Just hate them back. Naruto stopped crying for a moment. Who are you? He thought back, curiosity replacing his anger for the time being. The voice chuckled, a sinister sound. You would think that you'd notice there was something else camping out in your body. Naruto was confused. You're inside me? Is that why everyone hates me? Because of you? The Kyuubi smirked. I am the 9-tailed fox. Naruto felt his eyes closing, and when he opened them again, he found himself in a strange place he'd never been before. In front of him loomed a giant gate, with a grinning face behind it. I summoned you here this time, but I won't again. You asked me if the villagers hate you because of me. It's mainly their fault for being so stupid. I will never understand humans. If I were not trapped by this tainted seal, I would kill them all. Naruto stared at the Kyuubi for a long time before speaking out loud this time. The seal is tainted? What does that mean? The Kyuubi laughed, a deep, guttural sound. It means that the seal doesn't work properly. It still keeps me trapped in here, but I can get out for short periods of time. Not much use to me, honestly. You, however, I could assist you for a price. Naruto frowned. Help me with what? More importantly, why would you want to help me? Wouldn't you get out sooner if I died? I can give you the knowledge others refuse you. I would assist you slightly, in return for being allowed another body, outside of this prison. And it is true that your death would free me from this prison permanently. But it would be some time before I could return to this world. After a moment of thought, Naruto's expression brightened a bit. So killing someone to give you a body is the price? After I do that, you'd kick those dumb villagers' butts? The Kyuubi smiled, looking feral. You will just have to kill 2 people. I won't interfere in measly human affairs, but I can teach you many things. I have been sealed inside powerful ninja, and I have observed their fights. I know many powerful ninja techniques. In a year or 2, you'll go to the Ninja Academy. Wouldn't you like to have an edge? Naruto was suspicious, but this deal was beginning to sound beneficial to him. You only mentioned 1 person. Who is this other person I would have to kill? The fox growled. The other person is one I hate very much. Follow my orders and you will beat him. Shall I reduce your enemies to rubble? Naruto was still uneasy about this whole thing. But it wasn't as if anyone went out of their way to help him. Why should he care if he had to kill 2 people? This sounded like a way to get power, and power was exactly what he needed. So I just have to kill 2 certain people, and you'll help me? That's right. How about it? The Kyuubi shifted behind the bars. Naruto cracked his knuckles nervously. Why do you want to get out? What good will it do you? The Kyuubi bared his teeth. That is none of your concern, human. Naruto frowned, touched his still swelling eye, and thought about it for a few minutes. All right, he said finally. Chapter 1, Graduation, Formation of Teams. When Naruto heard that the exam would be on bunshin techniques, he nearly laughed. He was no longer a child. The Kyuubi's dark wisdom had aged him years beyond his own. The bunshin technique was somewhat difficult for the kids of his age, Naruto knew. What made him laugh was that it seemed to be a perfectly reasonable test of ability to the Academy's sensei. Like, if they could do a bunshin technique, being a ninja would suddenly fall into place and everything would go smoothly. Naruto knew it was slightly ridiculous to think this way, but he couldn't help it. Every student was so hopeful and happy about their future of being a shinobi, and despite himself, Naruto was slightly angry he couldn't keep to the same delusions. So instead of worrying over the exam, he turned his attention to his classmates. Which ones would be on his team? He couldn't help but hope it wasn't Uchiha Sasuke. The so-called genius had always gotten on his nerves, mainly because he seemed to glide along on his reputation alone without doing any real work or training. It didn't help that he was loved and acknowledged by all. But now that he thought about it, Sasuke wasn't the worst that could happen. Yamanaka Ino was by far the most obnoxious girl Naruto had ever met. She complained about everything. Not only did she complain constantly, she did so in a loud, whiny voice that made Naruto's ears ache. She was also physically violent when she found anything she didn't like. Yes, Uchiha Sasuke was not the worst that could happen. Naruto absently stepped forwards as his name was called to do the bunshin technique. He performed the jutsu flawlessly and effortlessly, and then returned to his seat. Naruto was not at all surprised when every single one of his classmates passed the bunshin exam. After the exam, Irika-sensei gave a lengthy lecture about how things would proceed from this point forwards. In teams of 3 under a single sensei, they would complete missions as a team and train as a team. Naruto knew all this already, so he absently tuned it out. After Irika-sensei's speech, because all of them had passed, they were presented with their hitayate and promptly divided into teams. Team 7. Haruno Sakura, Inazuka Kiba, and Aburame Shino. Your sensei is Hatake Kakashi. As fate would have it, when Naruto finally heard his name called, it was with the exact 2 shinobi he least desired to be around that he was paired. Team 8. Uzumaki Naruto, Yamanaka Ino, and Uchiha Sasuke. Your sensei is Yuhi Kurenai. As Ino cheered loudly and Sakura slumped over in her seat, Naruto and Sasuke exchanged annoyed glances. Neither one of them was particularly thrilled about working in a group, especially with this grouping. Both boys thought of Ino as incredibly annoying, and they didn't get along between themselves. Clearing his throat loudly to silence the girls, Irika-sensei continued, Team 10. Hyuga Hinata, Nara Shikamaru, and Akimichi Chuji. Your sensei is Asuma Sarutobi. Irika-sensei continued to list of several other teams consisting of Naruto's classmates. But Naruto was no longer listening. He wondered who this Yuhi Kurenai was, and if they were a good sensei. Not that it mattered much. Naruto already had a sensei that was much more knowledgeable, especially when it came to forbidden techniques. He suddenly snapped back to reality when he heard Irika-sensei dismissing them to go meet their new sensei. Standing quickly, Naruto headed for the doors. All the sensei were standing outside, waiting on their students. A beautiful kunoichi beckoned Naruto over. He was slightly shocked. This was Yuhi Kurenai? His sensei was a woman? The lady gave Naruto a genuine smile. You're Uzumaki Naruto. Welcome to Team 8. I'm Yuhi Kurenai, your sensei. Naruto forced his face into a wide smile, as he always did. Nice to meet you, Kurenai-sensei. When do we start missions? Kurenai-sensei paused to welcome Uchiha Sasuke as the raven-haired boy strolled up, hands shoved deep in his pockets. Sasuke only nodded somewhat rudely in response. When Ino gets here, I'll explain, she told Naruto after introducing herself to Sasuke. Of course, Yamanaka Ino was not far behind Sasuke. When was she ever? Bounding up, she latched onto the sullen boy's arm, squealing. Sasuke-kun, we're on the same team. Sasuke immediately shook free of the overenthusiastic girl, glaring daggers at her. Kurenai-sensei cleared her throat meaningfully. Yamanaka Ino, I am your sensei, Yuhi Kurenai. Welcome to Team 8. Realizing her rudeness, Ino quickly bowed to her sensei. Thank you, Kurenai-sensei. After this acknowledgement, she quickly turned her attentions back to the irritated Sasuke. Kurenai-sensei shook her head slightly before continuing. Before we begin missions, I would like to assess your personal abilities, so as to best train you in the future. I have seen your grades, but watching you in action is much more helpful. Crossing her arms over her chest, she continued, I will warn you of one thing, though. If I do not think you are fit to be a shinobi, I will not hesitate to report it to the Sandaime Hokage. Ino flinched the slightest bit. Yes, sensei. Inwardly, her only thought was, I'll have to work harder. I won't lose to Billboard Brow. I mean Sakura. Naruto glanced at Sasuke and his expression darkened. He had no doubt he could beat the dark-haired shinobi, but he was still unsure exactly how skilled the Uchiha was. Sure, in the academy he had done everything perfectly, but the academy was really no test for a true high-level shinobi. Sasuke, sensing Naruto's look, scowled back. He knew next to nothing about the blonde-haired shinobi, other than that he was always smiling ridiculously. He had no tolerance for idiots like Naruto. Naruto interpreted the look and regarded Sasuke back through squinty eyes. Don't look down on me, team, he railed, inwardly sighing at the pointless gesture. Ino's fist crashed down on Naruto's head. Naruto, don't be an idiot. Sasuke's way better than you. You shouldn't even be looking at him. Stupid moron. Naruto's first reaction was a surge of anger. How many people would look down on him before he couldn't take it anymore? But the anger died quickly. He was used to it, after all. Even if Ino didn't know why she looked down on him, she still did, just blindly following everyone else. Konoha was full of mindless sheep, following the leader. Filled with contempt, Naruto simply turned away without a reply. Ino's eyebrows knitted downwards, annoyed and a bit surprised that Naruto hadn't risen to her bait. Oh well, she had successfully defended her precious Sasuke-kun. Sasuke was still watching Naruto. To be truthful, he hadn't expected that reaction either. Perhaps there was more to the obnoxious shinobi than met the eye. Kurenai-sensei cleared her throat. If you are ready to listen now, she trailed off, raising a brow meaningfully. Her three students nodded solemnly, and Ino seemed slightly embarrassed. I will do your assessments individually, and then we will have a teamwork session. From what I can see, it's sorely needed. Her mouth pressed into a line. Naruto, I will work with you first. The rest of you can head home for today. Ino and Sasuke were both taken aback that their sensei had chosen Naruto to go first, but they did as she requested. Ino added, yes, sensei. Naruto was slightly suspicious. Why am I first? He mumbled, eyeing her with caution. Kurenai-sensei chuckled. It's okay, Naruto. I won't bite. I wanted to explain a few things to you, without the others present. The Sandaime himself asked me to tutor you and Sasuke for a specific reason. I'm not blind, Naruto. I've always seen how cruelly you were treated. In fact, that's precisely the reason I approached the third about you. There are 2 reasons I have become your sensei. Well, 3 really. The first was to help you improve as a shinobi. I understand that, in the academy, some of the teachers deliberately sabotaged your lessons. I want to alleviate that. Naruto nodded silently. It didn't really matter, though. The Kyuubi had pointed out everything the teacher tried to do, just as he was now urging him to disregard her words. But the Kyuubi wasn't his master, so he ignored it. Kurenai continued, the second reason is I wanted to become someone you could trust. An ally of sorts. The way they treat you is completely out of line, and I won't stand for it. Naruto suppressed a chuckle at the indignant look on her face. It was nice of her, but it came far too late. Trying to fix things now would do nothing. He'd already been through far too much. Lastly, I understand that you have a Kekii Genkai. This is where Sasuke comes in. As a wielder of a Kekii Genkai of my own, it is only natural I help you both along. Naruto sorted away this interesting bit of information with no change in expression. Okay, what kind of assessment is this? Kurenai-sensei was a bit shocked at the lack of expression, or even emotion in his voice. The Naruto she'd watched was always so lively, or maybe that was just a front. It would make sense, she supposed, with all the mistreatment he'd gone through. Shaking free from her thoughts, she quickly answered, "For now, will you just perform a few of your jutsus? That should be a good starting point." Naruto arranged his face into a cocky smile, but his eyes were emotionless voids of blue. "What kind of techniques? I know a lot. Wind element, fire element, henge, summoning?" Kurenai blinked. "Whichever ones you'd like, Naruto." Forming a wickedly fast series of seals, Naruto bit his thumb, causing blood to run freely, and placed it on the ground, gathering the necessary chakra to his hand. "Kuchios no jutsu," he murmured, half to himself. There was a big puff of smoke, and a fox stood at his side, baring its teeth at her. Kurenai blinked. How had the boy gotten his hands on a summoning scroll? She would have to ask the third later when she gave her report. "Thank you, Naruto." Naruto knelt down and spoke softly to the fox, apologizing for summoning him for no particular reason. When Naruto finished speaking, the kitsune disappeared in a puff of smoke. He glanced up at his sensei, pondering what technique to show next. He wanted to keep many of them hidden because they were forbidden techniques, and he didn't want to let anyone in on his secret. Searching his mind for a technique that would make him appear gifted, but not overly so, he finally decided on another. Ketan. Karyuenden. A great flaming dragon rose from Naruto's mouth as he completed the seals and released his chakra. He was extremely careful to aim it in the opposite direction of Kurenai-sensei, because even if he wasn't aiming at her, if she got too close it would still hurt her. He was about to loose the technique when he realized they were in the middle of Konoha. He quickly suppressed the chakra and released it in small fireballs instead. Kurenai-sensei chuckled slightly. "Interesting choice. That's a B-rank technique, you know." Naruto met her eyes. "Well, I didn't take you as a stupid person." Kurenai's brows shot up, but she didn't comment on his rudeness. "Indeed, I'm not. I think that should be good enough for now." Naruto gave a curt nod. "Understood. There is one thing, though. Don't speak of my Kekii Genkai to the others. I don't care that Sasuke will have one. I don't want them to know about it." Kurenai frowned. "Naruto, that isn't a good idea. As teammates, you need to have complete trust in each other. Hiding something from them isn't a good start." Naruto scowled. "It's not like they care to figure it out. Anyways, this is something only me and the third know. And now I'd like to keep it that way." Kurenai sighed. "If that's what you want, I can't really argue. I encourage you to tell them, though." "Your encouragement is duly noted, Sensei. May I leave now?" Naruto knew he was being rude, but at this point he didn't really care. He wanted to go train. "Yes, Naruto, you may go. Before you return to your home, though, I'd like you to have Sasuke come here." Kurenai watched his reaction. Naruto groaned. "Is that really necessary? That team grates on my nerves. Kurenai-sensei frowned sternly. That bastard Naruto is on your team. I expect you two to get along. Now go find him. I expect he's in the Uchiha compound. Naruto trudged away with a huge sigh. This was going to completely ruin his afternoon. Chapter 2. The Uchiha Compound. Naruto stared at the large, foreboding door that seemed to loom over him. He didn't want to do this. Kurenai-sensei was evil. She had to be to give Naruto a task like this. Scowling, Naruto raised his fist and banged obnoxiously on the door. A little louder than needed, but not so loud that he would be accused of banging too loudly. It only took a few moments before the door cracked open. The raven-haired boy glared back at him. What? Naruto's eyes narrowed into slits. Kurenai-sensei asked me to send you to her. Sasuke's eyes narrowed right back. Did she? It wasn't a question. That's what I said. Team. What the genius ninja can't hear. Naruto refrained from rolling his eyes. Sasuke's face darkened at the insults. Shut up, dope, and get off my porch. Naruto jumped sideways as Sasuke stepped towards him, body automatically tensing for a fight. But Sasuke merely brushed past him, without as much as a second glance. Naruto was slightly affronted. He hated being looked down upon. Sasuke didn't even know anything about him, and he immediately disregarded him, just like everyone else. It irked him like nothing else. It's not like you, kid, getting so riled over a kid ninja. Even if he is a so-called genius. The Kyuubi seemed amused. Shut up, fox, Naruto mumbled, squinting after Sasuke. The fox's chuckle echoed throughout his head. The yard was littered with shurikens and targets, battered from use. Perhaps the raven wasn't gliding as much as he'd thought. Abruptly realizing he was still standing on the Uchiha's porch, Naruto quickly left the compound before he could be accused of loitering. Suddenly curious, Naruto made the tiger hand seal and murmured, "My Segekure no Jutsu." Naruto faded back into the shadows, his shadow and scent disappearing completely. It was a very high-level technique to be using to spy on his genin teammate and sensei, but Naruto could get away with wasting a little chakra. Or a lot. At least until Sasuke developed the Sharingan. The technique would be useless then. Laughing silently, he headed after Sasuke, tailing him effortlessly. He was invisible to the senses, after all. Well, except maybe smell. But he knew enough to disguise his scent by now. Foxes were predatory animals, after all. He'd learned from the best. The Kyuubi grinned malevolently in his head. Naruto attempted to ignore it. He followed Sasuke all the way to where Kurenai-sensei waited. Neither one suspected a thing. Why should they? After all, no one would be interested in this particular conversation. Or so they thought. Kurenai-sensei stood from her seated position and greeted Sasuke. Sasuke, as you know, this is an assessment of your skills. But I also wanted to let you know that I am aware you will eventually develop a Kekkei Genkai, the Sharingan. I was selected as your sensei for this reason, as I have a bloodline limit as well. Sasuke blinked in surprise, but said nothing other than, "HN." Kurenai-sensei chuckled. All right then, show me a few techniques and then you can go find Ino for me. Sasuke grunted slightly before he began to form hand seals. Ketan. Gokaku no Jutsu. The fireball shot away from the raven and scorched several nearby trees. Kurenai winced. Destroying trees. Again. When will these kids ever learn? Very good, Sasuke. Though perhaps next time you will contain your chakra and not destroy the trees. It was a command. Annoyed, Sasuke nodded mutely in assent. Naruto held back a chuckle. Kid genius? The prick couldn't even nullify his own chakra. Shaking his head, he turned to leave. He'd seen enough. Sure, Sasuke would grow up and become powerful someday. But the day wasn't anytime soon. Naruto would keep an eye on him, but for now he had nothing to worry about. He didn't even realize until he stopped thinking that he was following Sasuke. Embarrassed, Naruto turned to head back to his own apartment, but hesitated. Since he was already using the technique, he might as well spy on Ino as well. Perhaps he could help her with something and win her over to his side. An ally would be nice as a teammate, after all. And it was good to help your teammates anyways, right? After all, he potentially could be placing his life in their hands. Mind made up, Naruto continued to follow Sasuke, who sought out Ino. It took the Uchiha much longer than it should have. Of course, it made perfect sense. The Raven ignored everyone and avoided girls like the plague. Naruto didn't exactly blame him, per se, as crazed fangirls are most likely the creepiest species on the planet Earth. But it wouldn't hurt him to at least pick up a few of their habits. In fact, it would make avoiding them easier. Naruto chuckled, amused that a genius like Sasuke couldn't see something so simple. Sasuke finally found the loudmouthed girl, who proceeded to fawn all over him. Naruto allowed himself a small smirk at the boy's discomfort before growing bored. Taking a few steps away from the pair, Naruto released his technique and made a Kage Bunshin, sending it after Ino. "Kit," a rumbling voice sounded inside his head. "Come here." Naruto understood, and had guessed this would be coming soon. Slipping into a secluded area, he sat down cross-legged on the forest floor and made a few hand seals, closing his eyes. Kakujin no Jutsu. It was one of Naruto's own techniques, developed to enter into his own mindscape whenever necessary. Reopening his eyes, he found himself in his own mindscape. The Kyuubi leered at him from behind bars. "Kit." The voice was closer now, more urging. Naruto sighed. "Shut up, Fox. I know." He closed his eyes again and began molding chakra. The blue aura swirled around him swiftly as he summoned more and more. With a soft sigh, he made a hand seal and whispered, "Maboroshi no Jutsu." When he opened his eyes once more, he was back in Konoha. A human with reddish hair stared back at him through the eyes of the Kyuubi. "It is done." Naruto's eyes widened. It had taken him many years, but he had finally developed his new jutsu. The Kyuubi did not have a permanent body, but he could now manifest for several days in the body Naruto had just created out of pure chakra. "So it is." The Kyuubi came a step closer, staring Naruto down. "I will keep to my side of the agreement. But I do not like you, nor any human. Do not expect anything of me other than instruction, Kit." Naruto let loose a short laugh, but it held no humor. "Don't be afraid of that, Fox." He suddenly fell quiet and cocked his head. Ino was pretty pathetic as well, he mused aloud, as the information from the Kage Bunshin suddenly came to him. The Kyuubi chuckled darkly. "I have one thing to suggest before we begin a spar. Your clothes, get rid of them." Naruto glanced down at his bright orange jumpsuit with little expression. "Fine. I have something to discuss with you before we begin. I can't just walk around calling you Kyuubi. What would you suggest?" The nine-tailed fox smirked. "Kuru." Naruto rolled his eyes. "Subtle. You should probably stop calling me Kit now, you know." Kyuubi shrugged, a human gesture Naruto found very strange coming from the demon. "I suppose." "Naruto." The demon crouched, settling into a fighting stance. "Let's fight." Chapter 3, Training. The two sized each other up for a while before either made a move. Naruto's patience broke and he sprang towards Kyuubi, tossing several shuriken haphazardly just for a reaction. Smirking, he muttered from the side of his mouth, "This a serious fight or are we just messing around?" Kyuubi dodged sideways and danced around Naruto, chuckling low in his throat. "I suppose you're right. We should probably put up a barrier first, Don't want the nosy humans to come sniffing around." Naruto rolled his eyes. "No, we don't." He jogged a few hundred feet out and placed a paper seal before doing the same with two others, forming a large triangle. Forming a single hand seal, he murmured, "Three-seal barrier." Meandering back inside, Naruto cracked his knuckles. "Now we're good, right?" Kyuubi nodded once. "Yeah." He answered shortly before springing towards Naruto. "It's nice to have a body. I haven't fought in decades." Naruto absently stepped aside. "More like a decade. I'm not that old, you furball." Kyuubi glared at Naruto. "When you've lived as long as I have, all the years blur together." Abruptly, he decided the pleasantries were over and his speed dramatically increased. Naruto noticed this and began to concentrate on dodging instead of talking. The Kyuubi couldn't use ninjutsu or any jutsu required much chakra, due to the fact that at the moment, he only had a limited supply of Naruto's own chakra. Naruto would definitely use that to his full advantage. Hand moving rapidly in a motion similar to the Rasengan, red chakra spiked between his palms. Kaijin no Jutsu. 1. Kyuubi, instead of backing off, rushed Naruto. Come now. You can do better than that, kid. I know all your techniques. Think you'll catch me off guard with them? He dodged as Naruto swiped the ball of fiery chakra towards him and swiped a bare-handed slice at Naruto. The attack grazed Naruto's arm, causing a severe burning on his flesh. Dazed, Naruto jumped back in an attempt to avoid Kuru's next flurry of blows. Even in a false body, Kyuubi's speed and power were astounding. Kyuubi plunged a kunai through Naruto's heart, and as the apparition disappeared into thin air, the real Naruto unleashed a complicated flurry of taijutsu attacks, surprisingly sending the demon reeling for space. Kaze no Yaiba. Naruto formed an air current around his fingertips and sent a barrage of slicing wind at the Kyuubi. The demon effortlessly dodged the invisible attacks and lunged at Naruto with the speed of a lightning bolt, almost landing crushing and perhaps critical blows on Naruto's body. Sacrificing defense for offense, you know better than that, kid. Be aware of everything. Naruto barely managed to jump back before the ground beneath Kyuubi exploded in a brilliant array of fire. Naruto planted a paper bomb beneath his feet from his previous jutsu, preparing a surprise attack for the demon. Stupid fire using fox, he mumbled beneath his breath, feeling the soles of his feet heat slightly from the ground's heat. You could have killed me with that. Ah, but I did warn you. Unaffected by the explosion, Kyuubi glared at him with a killing intent so intense it put Naruto in a state of fear so great he could barely move. The demon slashed at Naruto with claws the size of daggers. Barely able to block Kyuubi's attacks, Naruto received dozens of new incisions on his body. Though they healed almost instantaneously, the pain didn't fade nearly as quickly. Deciding he had no choice but to go on the defensive at this point, Naruto materialized a dozen clones to assist in the fight. 3 clones were dispelled instantly by the killing intent, but it didn't matter. It gave Naruto precious time to recover. He also developed an idea of the demon's presence as the clones were massacred. Kyuubi had no weakness whatsoever. He flawlessly executed attacks with no wasted movements at all. Naruto knew he couldn't win, but he had to do something to put up at least some fight. He summoned 24 more clones, hurled kunai at the demon, and multiplied the kunai, performing a shuriken kage bunshin no jutsu. Hundreds of razor-sharp blades headed towards Kuru impaled him in a gruesome manner. Or so it appeared. Kyuubi merely smiled coolly, and with a ripple of foreign chakra, sent the kunai out of his body and straight towards Naruto. The killing intent was almost too much for Naruto at this point. Dodging the kunai, Naruto made a few hand seals and murmured, "Katan." Goryoka no Jutsu, sending out enormous flame dragons from all different directions. Although this was nearly an unavoidable attack, Kyuubi took the challenge and seemed to find pleasure rather than pain from the raging fire. Fire was a fuel for this demon. Naruto imprudently realized this only too late. Dang it, he muttered as Kuru seemed to disappear from thin air, appearing behind Naruto and ferociously attacking in a way only a true monster could. Coming from all different directions, Naruto felt the dagger-like claws bury in his flesh right around his throat. He was completely overwhelmed, knowing the fight to soon be over. If the demon had wanted, he clearly could have killed Naruto. Kyuubi smirked. That was pretty pathetic, Naruto. Naruto sighed. Give me a break, Q. You're a friggin' demon, know all my jutsu, have greater speed and strength than me, and are invulnerable to fire. I can't honestly do much against you right now. Kyuubi chuckled. You will always be weak compared to me, kid. There's really nothing you can do to change that, as long as you are human. However, you can surpass all the humans with my help. The demonic eyes gleamed with ambition and power, and watching the fox, Naruto believed every word. I'd better. Naruto responded in a somewhat arrogant tone. Now we should probably take this barrier down before the whole town knows about it and we get interrogated. Kyuubi responded neutrally. I suppose. He finally conceded. Remember you said you'd get new clothes. And there's another thing. That Yamanaka girl. Her clan have strange jutsus. Make sure you don't get caught in her techniques. I'm not saying this for you, but she might die. He bared his teeth in a demonic grin. Naruto narrowed his eyes. Thanks for the warning. He strode towards Kyuubi and touched his brow, returning the chakra to his body, along with the Kyuubi's presence. He quickly removed the 3 seals and retracted the barrier. A frantic squad of ANBU waited outside. Uzumaki Naruto. One exclaimed in surprise. Naruto mentally face-palmed himself. Should have used a henge. Oh well, too late now. Summoning up a stupid expression, he gave them blank looks. Something wrong? The ANBU were suspicious people, but narrow-minded ones as well. No, never mind. The ANBU finally said. A genin fresh out of the academy would never know an S-class jutsu, particularly one as stupid as Uzumaki Naruto. Their haughtiness saved Naruto from a load of trouble. Holding back a chuckle, he strolled away from the training area. So Kuru? What do I need to do to train? Naruto spoke to the Kyuubi as he returned to his house. Become stronger and faster. The 9-tailed fox did not elaborate. Kamun Kuru. Naruto knew that whining was enough to make the fox annoyed. Shut up, kid. For that. Hehehe. Kyuubi snickered sinisterly. Okay, this did not bode well. Kuru? Naruto quested. Find the one called Mato guy. Ask him to train you a bit to make you stronger and smarter. Kyuubi's gravelly voice held a definite note of glee. Have it your way. Naruto was slightly frightened, but the fox wouldn't suggest something that was a total waste of time, right? Chapter 4. Teamwork Sessions Part 1. Naruto walked down the path, heading towards the small clearing teammate had met in yesterday. Sasuke and Ino were already there. Naruto suppressed a chuckle at the sight of Ino hanging all over Sasuke. Wordlessly, he seated himself several meters away from the other two, leaning against the trunk of a tree and closing his eyes. Naruto could feel Sasuke's eyes on him, but it wasn't uncomfortable for him. He'd received so many dirty looks since the time he could walk that one more wouldn't make a heck a lot of difference. Kurenai-sensei arrived at that moment. Wow, you're all early. Excellent. Well, I guess I can start the teamwork session. I want to explain a few things before we begin. What I'm going to say is something some of you might not like, but it's something that needs to be said. As far as teamwork goes, you 3 are horrible. Ino, all you do is look to Sasuke for help and guidance. You completely ignore Naruto. Naruto and Sasuke, you 2 ignore all your teammates, thinking you can get the job done better alone. As long as we are a team, I won't stand for this. Teamwork is the basis of all teams, and a professional ninja knows can get over working with people they don't like. If you want to be a ninja, you need to learn to work together with whoever you're placed with. Do you understand me? Ino stood up straighter and barked back. Yes, sensei, while Naruto and Sasuke gave Kurenai grudging nods. Good. Since we're a new team, we're going to start with D-rank missions. These missions will be of no challenge whatsoever, but they are an important step to becoming a true shinobi. I will have no complaining. They may seem absurd, but if nothing else, will help you with your physical conditioning. The 3 genins nodded again. Ino ventured a bit to say, but what about the teamwork session, sensei? Kurenai smiled. It begins now. We'll be doing these exercises for 3 days, throughout our missions. Every day we'll switch activities. For now, Naruto will be with me, and Sasuke and Ino will work together. Without a pause, less chance of arguments, she reached into her weapons pouch and withdrew 2 blindfolds. To start, Ino and Naruto will be blindfolded. Sasuke, you will direct Ino's motion. She handed off a blindfold to both Naruto and Ino. Naruto frowned and tied the blindfold around his eyes. This did not bode well for him. Kurenai seemed to have something to say to him. On the bright side, at least he could bring up Mato guy. Ino was excitedly exclaiming about the exercise as she tied the blindfold around her own eyes. But Naruto wasn't listening very closely. Kurenai cleared her throat, probably to shut Ino up. We're heading to the Hokage Tower now, Sasuke. She informed the broody teen before laying her hand lightly on Naruto's arm to guide him. See if you and Ino can keep up. Naruto could hear the teasing in her voice. She set the pace at a quick jog, making sure Naruto was following. Sasuke, of course, was too cool to be seen leading a girl around at a fast pace, so his footsteps sounded decidedly slower to Naruto's ears. Something you wanted to say? Naruto mumbled in between even breaths. Kurenai's hand twitched slightly on his arm. Yes, she said after a moment. It's about your Kekii Genkai. The Hokage didn't seem to know much about it. Naruto rolled his eyes behind the blindfold. And clan secrets and all that. Kurenai's tone sharpened slightly. Naruto, be respectful. Oops, she saw that after all. Your clan is dead. Keeping secrets of this size to yourself guarantees that when you are gone, a valuable asset to Konoha will be lost. As your sensei and team leader, I will need to know the specifics of your Kekii Genkai. Kurenai still sounded stern. Naruto stiffened. I understand, sensei, he muttered in a low voice. He was not very happy about this predicament. Deceptively sweetly, he added, would it be possible for me to ask a favor of you? Kurenai sighed. One day and she'd already offended a student. Oh well, he was a ninja. He'd get over it. Of course, Naruto. What do you need? I have discovered during my training that my taijutsu needs a little work. May I train under Madogai for a few weeks to improve my speed and strength? Because, you aren't exactly a taijutsu specialist. Naruto couldn't resist the last jab. Kurenai frowned. I'm well aware of that, Naruto, she said, a little stiffly. I will speak to Guy about it. It's up to him. But I'm glad to know you're taking an interest in improving yourself. Improving himself. He kind of liked this lady. Thanks, Kurenai-sensei, he said, real gratitude coloring his tone. He could feel Kurenai relax somewhat after that. They spent the rest of the jog in silence. It was a while before Sasuke and Ino arrived. Naruto smirked slightly at the aggravated expression the last Uchiha sported. At least by having these two on his team, he had something to be amused about. Kurenai led them into the room where the Sandaime Hokage sat at his desk, smoking a pipe. Team 8. The Hokage greeted them. His gaze slid to Naruto, as if checking to see how he was doing. The boy stood quietly, arms crossed. Meeting Kurenai's eyes, the Hokage gave her a slight smile. Kurenai smiled back. We've come to request a mission, Hokage-sama. The old man rummaged around on the messy desk. I have just the thing for you. He picked up a page and handed it to Kurenai. Any of those are acceptable. Kurenai scanned over the list quickly. Catch the cat. No, just no. Weed a garden. Too difficult with two blindfolded people. Coming to the bottom of the list, she smiled perfect. Team 8 accepts the mission of mapping the forests of Kazakhstan's land. Naruto could see where this was going. Wandering around in a forest blindfolded. Yikes. Well, at least Kurenai was guiding him. Team 8 left the building and headed towards where the mission would take place. Upon arrival, Kurenai threw them all a curveball. All right, Ino, come with me. We'll be mapping the east side. Sasuke and Naruto, you two map the west. You just had to do that now, didn't you? Naruto sighed. He could practically feel the smugness oozing from Sasuke's pores. You should leave a clone here or he'll run me off a cliff. The only comment from the Uchiha was a very sinister sounding. HN. He sounds like he quite likes that idea, Naruto thought suspiciously. Kurenai smiled. Sasuke wouldn't fail a mission just to purposefully injure his teammate, Naruto. You'll be fine. That's what you think, Naruto murmured, but he let it slide. Kurenai turned to leave, Ino at her side. One more thing, Sasuke. There is an object hidden here that you must retrieve, even if it isn't part of the mission. You will know this object when you see it. You can't touch it yourself. Naruto has to retrieve it. Have fun." With a jaunty wave, her and Ino continued on their way. Naruto let loose a long, pained sigh. Why does that sound way more troublesome than she wants us to think? Sasuke snorted. Naruto could feel the raven move closer and a hand suddenly clamped down on a particularly painful spot between his shoulder and neck. Stifling a hiss, Naruto waited for Sasuke to move or say something. It was a long while before Sasuke finally said, "Dobe, let's finish this mission." Naruto did hiss this time, with annoyance. "Who do you think I'm waiting on, team?" 2 hours later, Naruto had run into 6 trees, nearly had his eye poked out by a wayward branch, tripped over 3 rocks, and the map was finished. He refused to believe any of these things were an accident. However, they had yet to spot the item Kurenai had referred to. Sasuke had adamantly insisted that it would be somewhere near the back part of the woods, because it was the longest distance and therefore the hardest to find. They had traversed the whole area, or so Naruto suspected, several times already. He had no way of knowing for real, of course, seeing that he was blindfolded. But Sasuke was an Uchiha. That was reason enough. Hey team, ever think of looking somewhere you don't expect a hidden item to be at? Naruto couldn't help himself. He was getting annoyed. The hand on his collarbone tightened. "Chin. Dobe," was all the reply he received. Letting loose an extremely loud ARG was Naruto's reply back. The fox stirred, awakened by his agitation. "Naruto, what's going on?" Naruto sighed. "Sasuke's being a prick. We're supposed to be finding a hidden item and he's leading me around in circles." Kyuubi seemed to find this extremely entertaining. "Oh, that old trick. Genjutsu specialists love it. Your mother's team got the same test. Tell the Uchiha there's probably a Genjutsu." Naruto nearly face-palmed himself. What a simple trick. He felt incredibly stupid now. "Charam. Sasuke, is there a Genjutsu?" The raven paused. Muttering a low curse, he pulled his hand from Naruto's shoulder, made a hand seal and whispered, "Kai." Apparently the fox was right, because a moment later, Sasuke grumbled, "I see the item. You have to get it, Dobe. It's up a tree." "Thanks, team. I'll just do that." Throwing his hands towards heaven, Naruto continued in an exasperated tone. "There are millions of trees here, Sasuke. Show me which one." Sasuke smirked and shoved Naruto into said tree. Naruto's eye twitched beneath the blindfold, but he didn't give Sasuke a reaction. Instead, he began climbing the tree. He had always been good at climbing. Luckily for the last Uchiha. After a few more instructions from the raven, he reached the item and scooped it up. "What is this thing, anyways?" Naruto patted it down and promptly stabbed himself. "Apparently a kunai." Sasuke grunted. "Chin. Dobe." Naruto growled. "Is that all you can say?" Shaking his head, he muttered, "Never mind." Climbing down from the tree, he added, "Let's get back to Kurenai-sensei. We'll probably have another mission after lunch." Sasuke gripped Naruto's shoulder again and steered him back towards the place their sensei had left them. Ino and Kurenai-sensei waited for them. Ino looked delighted at the emo's sudden appearance. "Sasuke-kun," she shouted before glomping him. Sasuke promptly shoved her off and took 3 steps back, looking murderous. Naruto laughed. The last Uchiha, driven back by a fangirl, he narrated from behind Sasuke. Neither of his teammates appeared to appreciate his wit, seeing as he could feel the heat of their glares through the blindfold. "Hey, lighten up, kiddos." Ino's fist crashed down on Naruto's head. "Shut up, Naruto. You're so annoying. And you're younger than us, I think. My birthday's September 23rd. She turned to bat her eyes at Sasuke, and Naruto made a gagging motion behind her back. Sasuke couldn't hold back a tiny snort at the Dobe's antics. "Sasuke-kun, when is your birthday?" The raven frowned. He didn't really want the fangirls to have any more ammunition, but they were working on teamwork. "July 23rd. "Ah, Sasuke-kun's so mature." Ino squealed. Naruto snorted. He's 2 months older than you, stupid. That isn't very much maturity. And judging by your level out. Ino's fist against smashed down on his head. Geez, ease up. We're teammates, piggy. Naruto complained. Ino's eyes blazed. Don't call me that. Naruto. She moved towards him, ready to beat him up. Luckily, Kurenai intervened. That's enough, Ino. Aren't you going to ask Naruto's birthday? The dark-haired sensei narrowed her eyes at the younger Kunoichi. Naruto's whole expression darkened at the mention of his birthday. No need. He replied calmly. I don't want to talk about it anyways. He turned away from his team, posture rigid. Are we finished, sensei? The last word was practically venomous. Yes. After lunch, meet me back at the normal place at 1:30. We'll do another mission. You can take off your blindfolds for now also. Naruto ripped the cloth from his eyes and stalked away without a backward glance. Stupid, stupid sensei. The ramen didn't even taste as heavenly as it normally did. After a measly 4 bowls, he couldn't stomach anything else. Naruto found himself with an hour of time to do with as he wished. Returning to his apartment, he sprawled back on his bed and closed his eyes. Q? The fox's reply was instantaneous. What is it, Kit? Wake me up when I need to get going. Naruto rolled over and promptly fell asleep. Chapter 5. Teamwork Sessions, PT2. Naruto. It's time. The deep voice woke Naruto instantly. The hyperactive blonde sat up. Thanks, Kuru. Rubbing his eyes and rising to his feet, Naruto blearily stumbled to the bathroom and splashed some water on his face before jogging out the door. Locking the door with extreme care, he returned to the clearing for the second time that day. They were all waiting for him. Face and eyes completely blank, he stepped up to meet them. As soon as their eyes turned towards him, he plastered on a huge grin. What's up, team? Kurenai-sensei sighed in exasperation, but was a little relieved that Naruto was okay. He'd seemed pretty upset earlier. Cutting of any impending arguments, she spoke up. Good, you're here. We're going back to the Hokage's office for another mission. This time Sasuke and I will wear the blindfolds. Smirking, Naruto chunked his blindfold at Sasuke, who caught it with a scowl. Ino gave hers to Kurenai, scowling at Naruto for taking her precious opportunity to talk to Sasuke-kun. Kurenai continued, Ino, you lead Sasuke this time. Naruto, come with me. She tied the blindfold over her eyes and waited for him to join her. They left without a glance back. Once again waiting until they were out of earshot, Kurenai told Naruto, I spoke to Guy. He was perfectly fine with you joining him. Unable to keep the amusement out of her voice, she added, they meet at the West training field at 5:30. Naruto simply blinked in astonishment at the absurd time. Sighing, he rubbed the back of his head and nodded. Thanks. I'll be there. Kurenai raised her eyebrows, somewhat surprised. I thought he'd give up, she admitted to herself. Very good, I will let Guy know. As for your Kekiai Genkai. Naruto interrupted, I know, sensei. When the opportunity comes, I'll show you, but not with anyone else around. It takes a lot of energy too. Understatement. Though the energy wasn't really the problem. But she didn't have to know that. Kurenai was satisfied with that answer, luckily. Good. And Naruto, if you need something, just tell me. He was kinda glad she was blindfolded. His expression was positively skeptical. Right. Thanks. He considered telling her that he would. But he didn't really want to lie about something so stupid. Another mission, HM? The Sandaime blew a puff of smoke from his pipe and again reached for a sheaf of papers on his desk. Naruto stared out the window, not really paying attention. He just wanted to end this mission and start training. Hey Q, anything I can do to train during this mission? I'm so bored. The fox's reply was instant. Chakra control. You need it for the next jutsu I'm gonna give you anyways. Come on. That again. Haven't I done that enough? Naruto sighed. Fine, you win. What do I do? Use your chakra to erase the tracks you leave. Do you know how to do it? Kyuubi yawned. Just maintain a constant flow on the soles of my feet, right? Then I won't leave any tracks. Naruto reasoned. Right. Have fun, kid. Kyuubi returned to his nap. Lazy furball, Naruto mumbled. Excuse me? Kurenai glared at Naruto, knowing he hadn't heard a word anyone just said. What? Naruto muttered intelligently. I asked you, Naruto, if it's true that you can make Kage Bunshin. You're to go with Sasuke to the supermarket. You're grocery shopping for the mission while Ino and I cook. Kurenai tapped her foot, impatient and annoyed. Right. I can make Kage Bunshin. Naruto grinned and rubbed the back of his head. Then bring the items over with a clone as soon as you've found them. Payment has already been arranged. They're listed by recipe. Bring the first recipe's ingredients first. Got it? Kurenai narrowed her eyes. Yes, Kurenai-sensei. Naruto held back a chuckle. It was kind of funny how annoyed she was. Clearly he'd found her pet peeve already. We'll go right away. Grabbing Sasuke's forearm, Naruto steered him outside. This is dumb. He sighed under his breath. Dope? The Uchiha questioned. We're going to the supermarket, all right? Don't call me that, Uchiha. Too busy concentrating the chakra to his feet, Naruto wasn't in the mood for conversation, especially one-sided conversation where he did all the work. Shin. Satisfied he'd gotten under Naruto's skin, the raven fell silent. Inwardly, though, he was burning with curiosity. What was going on? It was irritating not to be able to see. While practicing chakra control, Naruto barely managed to deal with Sasuke, find all the items on the list, and send them on via shadow clone to Kurenai and Ino. All in all, it required a lot more concentration than it should have. The increase in chakra control better be worth it, you dumb fox, Naruto threatened the Kyuubi. The nine-tailed demon merely laughed. It's good for you, Naruto. Naruto didn't bother to reply, practically dragging the very frustrated Uchiha. He returned to where Ino and Kurenai were cooking. That's everything, he added unnecessarily. Kurenai barely glanced up. Good job, you and Sasuke can head home now. I'll give you your pay later. Oh, and Naruto. Sasuke can't take off the blindfold until he's in his house. Naruto's eyebrows twitched, and his facial expression was incredulous. Are you telling me to walk the team home? Kurenai, amused, finally looked Naruto in the face. That's exactly what I'm telling you. Naruto pressed his fingertips to his temple, feeling a headache coming on. Why do the heavens hate me? He bemoaned to the skies. Kurenai simply chuckled. Abruptly, a clenched fist flew in front of his face. Sasuke had missed by a barely centimeter. Dope, let's go. I have things to do. Naruto wheeled on the annoyed raven, grabbing his shirt collar. Oh yes, because everything is all about you. Sasuke Heim, he yelled before dragging the somewhat stunned Uchiha off. A few seconds later, the sounds of a fight drifted to their ears. Kurenai wiped a tear away from her eye, sides shaking. Perhaps being a Jounin sensei wasn't as boring as I thought. Ino simply watched her sensei with something akin to concern. When Naruto finally got Sasuke home, both the shinobi had their share of bruises. Practically throwing the raven through his front door, Naruto hurried home. Can I start on the new move now? Naruto bugged the Kyuubi on his way home. I seem to remember that you have a promise to keep first, Kit. Kyuubi grumped. Promise? Naruto thought about it for a moment. Oh, new clothes, right? I guess I should do that first, eh? With an awkward little laugh, Naruto turned and looked around before doing a hinge. He couldn't get any good clothes as himself, for sure. That was the reason he'd had the orange in the first place. What should I get, Q? The demon roared in his head. I am not a fashion consultant, you brat. I'm a demon, the most powerful demon there is. Find someone else to help you do your shopping. A mental door was slammed, and silence followed. I guess that was kind of the wrong thing to say. Naruto winced slightly at his own eagerness. Well, no one else is gonna help me, for sure. Guess I'll just have to pick up whatever I like best. Turning again, he headed back towards the ninja clothing store. Inside, he glanced around. What color do I want? A ninja should blend in, so brown, green, black. Gray? So boring. I could probably get away with red. Red sounds good. He took his time browsing. It was nice, being able to look around without people throwing him out. Finally, he decided on 2 different outfits. He'd been saving up money since he was in the academy, having a feeling he'd need it for something or other. Lucky for him, he'd been right. Well, it was Kuru's idea, but whatever. The fox was sulking so he could claim the idea without getting in trouble. The first outfit looked very similar to an ANBU outfit, except that it was black and dark red instead of white and black. Black ninja sandals, baggy black capris, a black tank top, and black sleeves from his hands to past his elbows. Dark red arm guards, and a red short-sleeved jacket. The jacket was practical, because if he was ever on a mission where anonymity was required, the hood could cover his dead, obvious bright blonde hair. The second outfit was a more casual one. He'd originally planned to get only one, but he'd had fun and ended up picking out 2. He wouldn't ever wear the second training or doing missions, but he didn't really mind. He'd picked out black jeans, slightly baggy but still form-fitting, a olive green and tan striped long-sleeve shirt, and another short-sleeved hoodie, this one black. Paying for his purchases, Naruto left the store. He walked all the way home before releasing his henge. Unlocking the apartment door, he stepped inside. Kyuubi, you can stop sulking now. I'm done. Naruto laughed. The great demon fox growled. I was not sulking, Naruto. Since you kept your promise, get changed, and let's go. I'll show you the new move. You'll have to use that technique first or I can't show you. Naruto felt an excited shiver flit across his skin, leaving goosebumps. Of course. Hang on. Clipping the tags from his new purchases, he quickly changed into the first outfit he'd picked out and dashed towards the training fields. Naruto. The voice held a slightly urgent note. Naruto, you forgot to lock the door. Naruto skidded to a stop, eyes wide and a bit fearful. Thanks, Kuru. If you hadn't. He trailed off and turned, locking the apartment door before continuing to the training field. Sitting down on the grass, Naruto concentrated his chakra and prepared the technique, murmuring Maboroshi no Jutsu. Opening his eyes, he again faced the Kyuubi's avatar. Rising to feet, he grinned. Kuru grinned back at him. Good, Naruto. Glancing down at his human hand, he flexed it. This body is strange. Shaking his head, he added, my form might waver a bit, since I'm using a bit of the chakra. Just a warning. You might have to give me more. Glancing down at his hand again, a red spiral sphere formed. This is called the Rasengan. It was your father's technique, Kit. I thought you'd like to know it. Did you watch how I did it? Naruto nodded. I can't really see it very well, but you're rotating the chakra, right? Kuru smiled. Right. It'll be difficult to learn. But now that you've seen, I think you've grasped the concept, right? Oh, and yours should be blue, by the way. Naruto nodded again. Yeah, I understand how it's done, at least. Thanks, Kuru. I'll work on it. Anything else? The fox in human form placed his hands behind his hand and lazily leaned back. Your bloodline limit, Naruto. What are you going to do about the female? Naruto scowled. Don't remind me. I'll use a low level and hope she doesn't ask for more. Unfortunately, I can't really refuse her, without making her even more suspicious. And suspicion is the last thing I need from someone I'll see every day. Anything else? Just a warning. Don't train too long. You'll need all your energy in the morning. I'd also suggest summoning one of the kits to keep watch around your house as well. It's been too long without trouble. Something's bound to happen soon. You should seal your new clothes away as well. Okay. Sheesh, what a slave driver. I'll do it when I'm done training. Thanks, Kuru. Bringing his hands together in a seal, the technique dispelled. Naruto turned to the training grounds, ready to begin trying to master the Rasengan. Chapter 6. Meidogai, Kekkei Genkai. You've got to be kidding me. Naruto stared. He couldn't stop staring. Why? Just why? Spandex is a bad look for anyone. Green spandex. Who would go there? But green spandex, bowl haircuts, and the bushiest eyebrows imaginable. It's just the scariest combo. Kuru, I'm gonna kill you later, Naruto muttered to the fox, who only snickered in reply. The green beasts of Konoha noticed Naruto's approach. Naruto-san, how youthful of you to join us, the taller one bellowed, charging towards him in an altogether frightening sight. Naruto winced visibly. Why-yo? He managed. Guy pressed the heels of his hands to his forehead and yelled, What a hip greeting! Lee, Naruto-san is clearly worthy of becoming your eternal rival. Yash, Guy-sensei, our fires of youth will burn brightly. Mini-Guy, apparently his name was Lee, had visible flames in his eyes. He was really freaking Naruto out. Naruto sweat dropped. Okay, I assume you are Mato Guy. He addressed the taller one. The man nodded, gave Naruto a thumbs up, and grinned hugely. His teeth sparkled and made a noise. I am Mato Guy, and this is my cute student, Lee. The Guy Junior kid gave Naruto a salute. Yash, I am Rock Lee. It is good to meet you, Naruto-kun. Likewise, Naruto mumbled, somewhat untruthfully. I am happy to train with you and your youthful sensei. He grimaced slightly, the words leaving a bad taste in his mouth. Lee didn't seem to notice. His eyes were shining. Yes, Guy-sensei is the greatest and wisest sensei. Guy laughed freakishly. Now we will train. Naruto-san, you will spar with Lee. Naruto's mouth corked down on one side. He knew Lee had a year of experience on him, and that was a large gap to cross. Yes, sensei. Any rules? Guy nodded wisely. Taijutsu only. Lee readied himself for the spar, seeming eager. It is always a pleasure to test oneself against a strong opponent, he remarked happily. Naruto inclined his head as reply and readied himself. He would not underestimate Rock Lee. Guy was watching Naruto closely. Yash, begin, he said suddenly. Lee immediately launched himself towards Naruto. Konoha Senpu. Naruto blocked with his arms and skidded back a few feet. This kid was strong and fast. Without ninjutsu or his Kekkei Genkai, there was no way he could keep up. Of course, that was why he was here. So that in the future there wouldn't be a situation like this. But for now, he just had to do his best. He didn't know any special taijutsu forms yet. And the basics, when facing the student of a specialist, were not enough. Naruto got in a hit or two, but the spar ended rather quickly with his defeat. Lee helped Naruto to his feet. Good fight, Naruto-kun. Surely you have much greater strength in ninjutsu. I am slightly envious. I cannot perform ninjutsu. Naruto nodded. So I've heard. Takes a lot of hard work to stand where you're standing. Lee, you are truly a genius of hard work. Lee looked like he was about to cry for his happiness. Naruto-kun, he cried, lip trembling. Naruto grinned back. Call me Naruto. I'll appreciate your help during this training, Lee. The green-clad ninja nodded vigorously. Guy came over and put a hand on either boy's shoulder. A shining display of youthfulness, he exclaimed. But now we must train for the explosions of youth ahead. Naruto-san, please address me as Guy-sensei. For the beginning of your training, I have something for you. From a bag on the ground, Guy pulled out a strange mechanism with a few weights held in it. Naruto quirked an eyebrow, interested. Weights? Guy-sensei nodded. They are to help increase your youthful power. Please take them. Naruto took them, and Guy showed him how to fasten them around his calves. Guy continued, you should be steadily increasing the weight. When you don't notice the weight anymore, wait 2 days, and then add one of these to each leg. Guy handed Naruto a bag full of 20-pound weights. When your weight braces are full, come to me. For your fires of youth, I will get you heavier ones. Awesome. Thanks, Guy-sensei. Naruto grinned. The green beast of Konoha waved him off. It's nothing, Naruto-san. Now come, Lee Naruto-san. We shall run 200 laps around Konoha. Yes, sensei, the two chorused. Naruto twitched. Wait, just call me Naruto. And, please don't ever call me your cute student. And, Naruto realized he was being left behind and yelled, Ah, wait for me, sprinting after the two. Naruto fell back against the ground, exhausted. Before he forgot, he quickly made a clone and sent it to deliver the bag full of weights to his apartment. Guy and Lee looked at Naruto. Both were grinning. Until tomorrow, Naruto, Lee yelled excitedly. Naruto managed to smile back. Yeah. Thanks for letting me train with you. Guy-sensei nodded. It was my pleasure to assist you in the growth of your youthfulness. Tomorrow I will watch you burn bright when I demonstrate taijutsu forms. Naruto's smile widened. Excellent. He caught a glimpse of someone approaching. It appears your team is coming. I'd best join my team as well. Standing, Naruto gave a slight bow and left. On the way, he brushed past a girl with twin buns on either side of her head. Who's that? He heard her ask Guy-sensei as he disappeared from view. After a bit of Rasengan training, Naruto met his team at the usual clearing. Kurenai-sensei beamed at him when he approached. Naruto, I'm glad you're here. Now we can get started. Ino was, as usual, pestering Sasuke. The Raven ignored her and watched Naruto. He looked like he'd been doing hard training. He wouldn't lose to the dobe. Naruto plopped on the ground next to Ino. The blonde girl wrinkled her nose. Gross, Naruto. You smell horrible. Naruto grunted. As a kunoichi, that should be the last of your worries. Ino. Kurenai sent them both a stern look. All right, enough. As Naruto has already been training, I thought it best we did some training. I have a scroll here for you two. While I speak to Naruto, you two practice these moves. She tossed a scroll to Ino and Sasuke. Turning to Naruto, she gestured for him to follow her. Out of hearing distance, she told him, I'm going to put Sasuke and Ino under a simple genjutsu. They won't see anything, nor will anyone else who comes anywhere within sight distance. It's time for you to show me your Kekkai Genkai, Naruto. Naruto nodded his assent. Kurenai performed a quick series of hand seals. All right, before you begin, will you outline the basic concept? The blonde let out a long breath. Fine. My Kekkai Genkai, in a way, is sort of like a stopwatch. When something happens, I can sort of stop time. Fumbling for words, Naruto waved his hands a bit before continuing. It's not all powerful or anything. How far back you can change things is limited by your chakra supply. And if it use it too much, there are consequences. He paused again. This is hard to explain. You know how the blood cells in your body attack foreign things they come across? Basically, if I use my Kekkai Genkai enough on the same person, I become the foreign thing. Whatever is affected by me changing things will unconsciously begin to attack me. I don't mean like beating me up, though that has happened. It's more like I'm an outsider. They won't trust me, and anything I say will be rejected subconsciously. Naruto's eyes darkened. Is that enough? I don't like using it because of the consequences, so I don't really know much about it yet. It's not like there's scrolls lying around to teach me about it. Kurenai kept her expression neutral. Does it have any other properties? Naruto thought about it. It's a dojutsu. My eyes turn gray. As I haven't used it much, it's possible that it will develop further. Since it was my father's bloodline limit and I don't have access to his scrolls, I don't know all that much about it, as I said. Kurenai's eyes widened slightly. You know who your father is? I've never even heard of your Kekkai Genkai before now. Naruto realized his blunder and his expression became veiled. I don't want to talk about it, he said simply. Kurenai sighed. I'll respect that. Will you show me now? Naruto grinned, hiding his discomfort. It goes like this. I'm going to say something, jump back in time a bit, and ask you what I said. You'll answer instantly, and this conversation will flood back to you. Naruto closed his eyes, and when he opened them, they were a murky gray color. Clouds. He grinned. It reminded him of Shikamaru. Focusing his mind and chakra, he reached into the time flow. I'm going to put Sasuke and Ino under a genjutsu. They won't see. Naruto interrupted, clouds. Kurenai paused mid-sentence as she suddenly remembered their whole conversation. That's incredible, she finally said. Naruto only gave her a grim smile. But not very useful when I know next to nothing about it. Are you okay? Sometimes a rush of information like that makes people lightheaded. Kurenai-sensei ruffled Naruto's hair. Don't worry about me, Naruto. Thank you for sharing this with me. I'm going to speak to the Sandaime about finding you more information. It's something you should have access to. Naruto hummed for a moment. I know where to look, but Jisan won't let me in there. My best guess says it's at the Namikaze complex. Quickly scanning his mind, Naruto came up with an acceptable lie. He was the Yondaime Hokage, so a lot of the classified information is at his estate. Kurenai seemed to buy it. I'll speak to him about it. Naruto couldn't resist a yell of joy. Thank you, sensei. That's so cool. Kurenai laughed. I'll always be happy to help you, Naruto. Is there anything else? Oh, and how did your training with Guy go? Naruto smiled. Thanks. I don't think there's anything else. The training went well. Guy-sensei is Guy-sensei. He gave me weights. They're already helping. Kurenai snorted. Guy is certainly eccentric. I'm glad he could help you, though. We should get back to Ino and Sasuke now. They'll be getting suspicious. She laughed again. The two headed back to the rest of their team. Sasuke and Ino both stopped what they were doing to watch their approach, curious. Ino was the first to speak up. What were you talking about? Naruto answered for her. I'm training with another sensei in taijutsu in addition to Kurenai-sensei. We were just making arrangements. Ino and Sasuke were both surprised. Naruto was receiving private taijutsu training? From who? Sasuke couldn't contain his curiosity. Mado Guy, one of Konoha's taijutsu specialists. Clearing her throat meaningfully, she added, How are those jutsus coming along? She asked pointedly. Ino laughed nervously. They'll take a few days, sensei. She told Kurenai. The genjutsu specialist just nodded. All right, we won't be sparring today. There are a few things we should talk about before we move on to anything else. Regarding the teamwork sessions, I noticed some things that gave me a bit of worry. Sasuke, you tend to ignore your teammates. While perhaps this is fine outside missions and training, they are still a part of your team and you must act as a unit. Teammates must also have absolute trust and confidence in each other. As a kunoichi, Ino, I'm very disappointed in you. Naruto is a strong ninja, and you constantly insult him, showing you are really the weak one. With Sasuke, you constantly bother and annoy him. Unless you improve yourself, Ino, you will be the death of your team. I'm being very serious here and I expect for you to treat it as such. And Naruto, due to Ino's shortcomings, you underestimate her potential. You're reluctant to share anything of a personal nature with either of your teammates, simply because of your dislike for them. Taking a breath, Kurenai concluded, your teamwork sucks. Until it improves, I'm not allowing you to take any missions. Naruto sighed and nodded. Sasuke seemed livid, but he was smart enough not to protest. Ino looked a little green. Since we won't be doing missions, we'll work on fixing our weaknesses as a team. You'll spend time together outside of team sessions. And no, Ino, this does not mean a date. Rolling her eyes, the dark-haired beauty kept going. Today, I want you to spend some time with Naruto. You two barely know each other. If you put aside your presuppositions, I think you would realize you are more alike than you think. Ino and Naruto exchanged looks. Yes, sensei, they chorused. Neither was very happy about this situation. Kurenai seemed satisfied. Good. You are both to take the other to 3 of your favorite places. And Sasuke, your turn will come. Think about where you'd like to go. As for now, enjoy your day off. Oh, and once you've used 3 places, you have to choose 3 different ones for your other teammate. Ino and Naruto, when you finish going to those 6 places, you can head home. Have fun. I'll be going now. Kurenai made a hand seal and disappeared in a swirl of leaves. Sasuke smirked at them and sauntered away. Rolling his eyes, Naruto turned to Ino. She said to improve our teamwork, so I'll tell you precisely why I don't like you. I don't like you because you suck as a ninja. You're a smart girl, but obviously somewhere along the way you devolved into an idiot fangirl. Sasuke clearly has no interest in you, and yet you squander away your career as a ninja to chase him. I will never understand someone as shallow as you. And unless you shape up, I'll never have any respect for you. Naruto crossed his arms over his chest and frowned at her. If what I just said makes you angry, it's probably because it's all true. If things don't start changing, I'll be finding a different team. I can't work with someone I don't respect in the slightest. Ino's mouth was hanging open. For once, she seemed at a loss for words. Finally she sputtered, Naruto, it's not like you're so great yourself. Sasuke beats you every day. I got better scores than you in the academy. And I may not be the strongest ninja around, but there is no way you can call me weak without fixing your own problems first. You're annoying. You're so average and don't stand out in anything. The only reason you've gotten away with making so much trouble is because your parents aren't around to scold you. In fact, you're lucky. My parents do nothing but nag. I'm under so much pressure from them, and I don't need it from you, loser. Naruto's gaze grew cold, and a painfully icy aura surrounded him. Don't speak such crap when you have no idea what it's like. You know nothing about the pain of being alone. My parents died upon the altar of sacrifice for Konoha. Sometimes I wonder if this village is worth it. Naruto's eyes gained a faraway look. Don't make the mistake of thinking I'm normal. I'm a sacrifice as much as they were. And the fact that you don't understand what I mean only proves my point. Ino chewed her lip. Okay, fine. I'll treat you professionally if you do the same for me. Naruto shook his head. The difference between you and me is I actually act professional. You're just a little girl that gives Kunoichi a bad name. Kurenai-sensei probably picked you for this team to fix you before you disgrace yourself further. If you were a true Kunoichi, you'd understand how lucky you are. No, Ino, I won't treat you like a Kunoichi until you prove you are one. Ino's mouth firmed with anger. Fine, forget being civil. This is why I hate you, Naruto. Ino was shocked when Naruto simply laughed in reply. One more person won't make much difference. Besides, I am being civil. I didn't lie to you. Would you rather I did? He gave her a flat look. Don't answer that. All I'm trying to say is, as my teammate, I don't trust you to watch my back. I'm sure Sasuke would say the same. That's a problem. He grinned slightly. Sasuke's a bastard, but he is a competent ninja. He wants to be strong. Granted, he goes about it the wrong way, but he truly wants to be strong. I don't like him, but I can respect him. The only reason you've survived this long as a ninja is because of your family. Where do you think you'd be if you were like me? Have you even considered it? I don't have family techniques. My parents won't be contacting the academy for private sessions and extra help. Since I was 5, I've lived alone, and I can't just ask for things I need. I have to work for them. Since the teachers hated me, I had to learn to do everything myself. You have no idea how far ahead of you that puts me. But I'm tired of talking about things over your head. Let's get this little side trip over with. Naruto turned and strode away, anger reverberating in his footsteps. Ino grabbed his shoulder roughly. Fine then. You want me to prove myself? What do I have to do? Naruto didn't turn around, but he stopped walking. Ask Kurenai what you need to improve. If she can't help you, figure out who can. Ino's grip tightened painfully. Fine. I'll join you for taijutsu training at blah o'clock. I'll try harder. I'll do what you say if it makes sense. But only if you treat me as an equal. Naruto nodded once. If you improve yourself, I'd be happy to. Ino released him. Good. Now where are we going? Ichiraku. We can get lunch and knock out one of my 3 places. Is that okay with you? Naruto turned his blues on her. I guess so. Ino came beside Naruto as they walked. They stepped up to the ramen stall and sat down at the counter. After both had ordered and eaten, they left the stand. Naruto was less grumpy now after a bellyful of his favorite food. Where to? He quizzed her. Ino smiled. My family's flower shop. Naruto winced slightly. Girls and their flowers. He mumbled. Ino's fist crashed down on his head. Just like old times. It's my choice where to go, so you don't get to complain. Now let's go. Naruto rolled his eyes. Yes, ma'am. He muttered sarcastically. Ino dragged him along to the shop and in through the door. Dad, I'm here for a quick visit, she yelled, nearly deafening Naruto. Ino's father emerged from the back of the store. Honey, Inoichi Yamanaka beamed at his daughter. What brings you here? Ino tossed her head proudly. I'm improving my teamwork. Naruto came along. She gestured behind her to where the blonde was standing. Naruto waved. Yo. He didn't bother introducing himself. He never did. Everyone knew him on sight after all. That's why he never made friends. Inoichi's lips quirked downward somewhat. The Kyuubi brat is my daughter's teammate? Hello, Uzumaki-san. I am Ino's father, Inoichi Yamanaka. It is nice to meet one of Ino's teammates. Naruto could tell he was lying. It was obvious. He was an accomplished liar after all. Likewise, he said simply. Inoichi's face twitched slightly. Well, I'm sure you don't want to be chatting with me, so please feel free to look around. Wrapping his fingers around his daughter's wrist, he yanked her away. Ino, can I speak with you for a moment? Naruto sighed. I'll be outside, he murmured, voice strangely subdued. He seemed smaller as he left the store. Ino gave her father a quizzical look. Something up, Dad? Stay away from that boy, Ino. He's bad news. Inoichi released his daughter and went into the back of the flower shop, leaving her staring confusedly at his back. Well, that was strange. Guess I'd best get going. Ino joined Naruto outside. He was staring off into space with a faraway look again. Hey, Naruto. Sorry about that. My dad wasn't feeling too well. She didn't know why she was making excuses, but it felt like the right thing to do for some reason. Naruto simply sighed. It's all right, Ino. I'm used to it, you don't have to lie for him. We're going to the Hokage monument next. He led the way. They climbed the monument and sat on the Yandame's head. Ino was curious. Why is this your favorite place? Naruto was staring out at Konoha. It reminds me of what is really important. The wind picked up, and Ino stared out at Konoha. She was interrupted from her thoughts when Naruto spoke up again. Ino, do you have a dream? She turned to look at him. He was still staring into the distance. I don't really know what I want to do yet, she admitted. I don't think I've found my niche. I don't know what to specialize in yet. What about you? Naruto finally looked at her. If you'd asked me a few years ago, I would have said to be Hokage. But I've come to realize just how much responsibility that entails, and I don't know that I love this village enough to be able to pull it off. I've changed my goal to becoming a seal master. Seal master? Wow, I don't think I've ever known one. It must be difficult. Wasn't the Yandame one? Ino's brow wrinkled in concentration. Naruto's faint laugh barely carried to her. The Yandame was a seal master, yes. Irony colored his voice. Shaking his head, he lapsed into silence. You know, Naruto, as much as I hated you this morning, I think Kurenai-sensei was right. We really don't know each other. Granted, I still think you're annoying. But I guess Sasuke is a little bit too. Naruto faked a gasp. Comparing me to your precious Sasuke-kun? He phrased it as a joke, but his tone was definitely not very lighthearted. Ino didn't seem to notice. Shut it. We're going to the park next. Naruto frowned slightly. Which park? The south one. Why? Ino put her hands on her hips, ready to scold him if he complained. Naruto grinned slightly. That's my third place. Ino stared at him. You like the park? Isn't that, kind of more of a girl thing? Naruto scowled at her. You'll see when we get there. And not once in my life have I ever been accused of being girly. So can it? Sasuke's way more girly than I am. Ino growled. Fine, let's just go, loser. Naruto couldn't hide the slightest tensing of his facial muscles. But luckily Ino wasn't a very observant person. He followed her to the park, and around to her favorite spots. When they got to the garden, she stopped. This is it. I love coming here. The flowers are so beautiful and so well cared for. Naruto scowled. Whatever. He didn't see the appeal in flowers. Ino strolled along by the flower bed for a few minutes, admiring the colors. When she looked up, Naruto had disappeared. After searching for a few minutes, she found him near the playground, surrounded by kids. He looked up as she drew closer and rubbed the back of his head, grinning. Sorry, they kinda dragged me off. This is Konohamaru, Udon, and Moegi. Guys, this is my teammate, Ino. Ino smiled. The kids looked cute. Hi, what are you playing? Ninja. Moegi piped up, beaming at her. Ino sent Naruto a strange look. A ninja playing ninja with kids? She questioned. Naruto simply smiled. Why not? It's fun. We teach each other some things. Kids can think of so many things I can't. But as I was saying, Konohamaru, I can't play with you right now because I'm on a mission. Konohamaru's eyes lit up. A mission? What kind of mission, boss? Can I help? Naruto grinned and ruffled Konohamaru's hair. Top secret, kid. With a conspirator's wink, he added, but if you're really good today, I'll tell you next time. Ino smiled. Naruto was really good with kids. Perhaps because he acted like such a kid sometimes. Konohamaru grinned brightly back at Naruto. You got it, boss. We'll be good. The Konohamaru Corps scurried off into the distance, most likely to find their parents. Naruto smiled somewhat wistfully after them. So now you've seen my 3 places. Where to next? Ino smiled mischievously. My favorite store. Naruto's jaw dropped. Oh no, tell me you're joking. Anything but that. Ino shook her head, grin growing wider. Nope, let's go. She dragged him off. Reaching the store, she also dragged him inside. Look at this plethora of purple, she exclaimed, looking around like she'd discovered gold. Yeah, it's impressive. Naruto stared around in horror. She should have saved this one for Sasuke. He'd have loved it. Every single thing in the store was purple. Except for Naruto, of course. I think my eyes died. Naruto lamented to the fox, who ignored him. Ino spent nearly 30 minutes sorting through all the purple merchandise before she finally left the store, huge bag in hand. That was so much fun, she squealed. Naruto looked slightly sick. Well, we're done now. I'm leaving. Bye. And he ran as fast as he could. Purple was a scary, scary thing. Chapter 7. A Chat with the Fox. Naruto collapsed in his room. Purple. Stay away from all purple. After going through his house and throwing anything with the color purple on it out the window, Naruto collapsed on his bed. He winced. A wayward bed spring stabbed his back. He moaned, rolling over. Stupid crap mattress. Standing up, he walked over to the sink and turned it on, getting ready to make his precious ramen. He sprang back with a yell as the water spurted out ice cold. Muttering a few choice curse words under his breath, he quickly grabbed a towel and dried his hands. I hate you, stupid landlady, he yelled, loudly. But not so loudly that she could actually hear. He didn't want to get kicked out after all. Could be a lot worse than this. Resigning himself to a future of very cold showers, he added some very cold water into a saucepan and put it on the stove. It would take ages to boil, and he was starving. Abruptly he shivered and stared at the goosebumps on his arm. Great, the heater too? Did she want him to die? Oh wait, never mind. Stupid question. Who didn't? Well, besides Irika-sensei, and maybe the Sandame. But he was too busy to notice most of everything. And he supposed Kurenai was trying her best. Screw it. This was depressing. Grabbing a blanket from the closest, he wrapped it around him and huddled in a chair. Cammy, it was freezing in here and it was only fall. He'd have to buy more blankets. Drat. More money taken away from his book fund. Oh yeah, you heard right. Namake's Uzumaki Naruto had a book fund. He did say he was going to be a seal master after all. It's not like there were any seal masters running around Konoha to teach him, after all. It's not like he could just run to a bathhouse, find a pervert, and be taught the secrets of life. Therefore, books were his only resource. But they were freaking expensive. It took him months to have enough to get one. There was ridiculously high-priced rent to pay for, after all. Oh, and ramen. Lots of ramen. Ooh, ramen. How he loved ramen. And wanted to devour it. Curse the landlady for depriving him of his ramen. Even if it was only a few minutes. Curse her to the grave. Naruto ran over the past few days' events in his head, trying to think of anything he needed to do. Oh, right, the fox. Making a quick series of hand seals. Naruto bit his thumb and placed his hands on the ground. Kuchios no jutsu. The little fox blinked up at him. Naruto-sama. Its voice was calm and soothing. Hey, Felix. Q told me to summon you. It's almost the 10th again. Felix nodded once. I understand. I will keep watch. I also recognize that if something were to happen, I should not be seen. Naruto gave a relieved smile. Thanks, Felix. I knew I could count on you. The little fox gave a quick nod of its head and disappeared, presumably to keep an eye on his house. Now, while I'm thinking about it, Naruto reached into a box and pulled out a scroll and a brush, making a containment seal. I should seal my clothes away. The seals were completely fireproof and practically invulnerable, something he'd had to learn through hardship over the years. Nothing he owned had survived for more than a year, after all. Unless he'd sealed it properly, that is. Sealing away his spare clothes, the nicer ones anyways, it'd be suspicious if he sealed them all away. He turned his attention to the ramen. Seals, even simpler ones like these, took time to make, so the water was boiling perfectly now. Adding it into his ramen, he waited a minute or two before grabbing some chopsticks and digging in. After he was done, he discarded the cup and stood. Hey Q, what else do I need to do? The nine-tailed demon fox made a disgusted noise. You humans can be so idiotic sometimes. Did it ever occur to you to fix your teamwork so that you can leave the village for a mission on the 10th? Naruto scowled. No, but this is Sasuke we're talking about here. Even if I did my best, it would still take time before we're a good enough team that Kurenai will assign us missions that aren't D-rank. The fox snickered. What happened to never giving up being your Nindo? Stop mocking me, fox. That was how many years ago? Just tell me what I should do. Naruto was getting more and more irritated as the conversation went on. I suppose it would be to my benefit that you do not die 2 days from now. Very well, Kit. I've thought of something. I'm the only one who knows of this technique. It will be amusing to see the humans scrambling to comprehend it. They never will, of course. It's a long-lost art. The fox bragged. Naruto smirked slightly. If this is anything like your other demon techniques, bring it on, furball. It's just what I need. The fox grinned malevolently. Very well. This is called Cord Secundus. Since you are a puny human, I will explain. Cord Secundus means second heart. Naruto's brow wrinkled in confusion. Second heart? You're showing me something called the second heart? Seems weird for a demon to talk about hearts. The fox nearly exploded. Not that kind of heart, you dolt. I'm talking about the organ. This technique gives you a second heart. Do you know what that means? For you to die, they have to stab 2 hearts simultaneously, because I'll heal one if they stab it. Well, that or just cut off your head or slit your throat. But most ninja aim for the heart. It'll make it much harder to kill you. The second heart is outside your body. Understand? Realization slowly dawned on Naruto. Man, Kuru, that is wicked cool. I'll be like, almost invulnerable. So basically with this second heart technique, I hide the second heart and there's less chance of me dying? You got it, Kit. Ready to use the technique? You're lucky I'm feeling cooperative today. You can only do it with demonic chakra. And my chakra is the most potent of all. The Kyuubi seemed more puffed up than normal today. Go for it, Kuru. Naruto tensed in anticipation. Demonic techniques were always super painful. Sure enough, The agonizing jolt came a moment later. Naruto could vaguely feel the Kyuubi channeling chakra through his body. What do I do? Gather all the chakra I'm sending you and gather it into a giant blob. Then we use more chakra to compress it. That sounds weirdly gross. Naruto complained as he did as the fox told him. I'm compressing. Now what? You have a highly compressed and volatile ball of demonic chakra. That's what. Now let me finish my work and stop bugging me. The Kyuubi seemed more cross than normal, too. What was up with the demon? Fine. Naruto watched in fascination as the technique took place before his eyes. When the Kyuubi was finished, he mumbled, "It doesn't look like a heart. Do you want your enemies to find a heart in your room and stab it, Kit? Because if so, I can make it look like a real heart." No, that's okay, Furball. Thanks for the help. I'll go seal this up now. Naruto gleefully began to do just that. Woo! I'm the only human with 2 hearts. Beat that, Sasuke. You do realize I'm not Sasuke. Kyuubi glared. Ahaha. Sorry. I forgot to stop directing thoughts towards you. I'll be quiet now. Naruto did just that. Storing the scroll with the rest of his scrolls, he plopped down on the chair again. Better go train some more, he mumbled to himself. Running out to the training grounds, careful to lock the door behind him, Naruto did some more work on the Rasengan. The Kyuubi wasn't a very helpful technique teacher, so he was still on the 3rd stage. Rotation was easy enough, power was super easy, but combining the two, it took a level of control Naruto didn't have yet. So he'd have to keep practicing until he reached that level. He was so intent on his training, he didn't notice the presence coming up behind him. Hey kid, where did you learn that technique? Naruto jumped about a foot into the air and whirled around. Don't scare me like that, man. The person he was talking to had busy white hair, platform sandals, and a red and olive green outfit. The man smirked. Fine, Gaki, but you didn't answer my question. Naruto blinked. Iruka-sensei said I'm not supposed to talk to strangers. He lied. I am the magnificent sage of Toad Mountain. At Naruto's blank look, he tried, the great Jiraiya of the Sannin. Never heard of him, Naruto said, just to annoy the man. Of course he knew the name. This man was the one who was supposed to be his godfather. This Gaki is annoying me. Well, anyways, I'm not a stranger anymore. I've introduced myself. So you can talk to me now and answer my question. Jiraiya tapped his chin in a falsely thoughtful manner. Naruto's mind went blank. There was no logical explanation. He'd have to tell the truth. The fox showed me. Jiraiya's eyebrows shot to his hairline. Oh crap, Minato's kid? I was under the impression you didn't know about the fox. Yeah, well, I'm not stupid, which is why I really have nothing to say to you. You can go away now. Naruto turned away, disgusted. Jiraiya stared at the kid's back. What was that supposed to mean? Did he know? Oh, double crap. How long are you going to stand there staring at me? I said get lost. The Gaki didn't even turn around to address him. So you know about Minato? It was not a question. Jiraiya sighed. This would complicate things. He hated feeling guilty. Naruto's anger finally overflowed. Yeah, I know. I know about everything, Godfather. Jiraiya pressed his lips together. Look, kid. I've been hunting down a rogue Konoha nin for years. Naruto laughed. I don't even care. You're nothing to me. I'm just surprised that you of all people wouldn't honor something you promised your student, especially after he died protecting you and Konoha. Actually, you know what? I'm not even surprised. I'm just disappointed. When I saw that I had a godfather, I had just hoped he wasn't like everyone else. Apparently, I was wrong to hope. The blonde abruptly wheeled and stalked away, without as much as another glance. Each word had stabbed as deep as a knife. Jiraiya sighed ruefully and looked after the kid. Minato would be disappointed in him, and rightfully so. He'd better start making amends if he didn't want Kushina to kill him when he finally reached a peaceful afterlife. Yikes. Naruto slammed the door to his apartment and fell back on his bed, carefully avoiding the spring that stuck out. His breaths were short and angry. He stared at the ceiling, body shaking with rage. It was some time before he calmed down. Rising, he went to his closet and pulled on a few more layers of clothing. It was too cold in here, but it wasn't as if he could do anything but suffer through it. The Hokage was never around anymore, after all. And Irika, he'd done enough. Naruto didn't want to make trouble for him any further. Something like this could land Irika a mild beating, and Naruto didn't want to be the cause of that. A soft sound shook him from his thoughts. Naruto-sama. Naruto turned his attention to Phoenix. Hey, you find something? Naruto questioned. The fox leaped onto his bed and dropped a scroll into his hands. This was outside. I'm gonna go patrol again, Naruto-sama. Thanks, Phoenix. Naruto unrolled the scroll and instantly paled. It was, of course, a threatening letter. We hear you're a genin now. You better drop out now or your teammates will suffer. A monster like you shouldn't be a shinobi. Drop out or they will die. A growl sounded in Naruto's throat and he threw the scroll to the floor. They dared to threaten his teammates? His hands balled into fists as he stared at the letter like it was a venomous snake. No, he had to calm down. If he tore out their throats, it would only prove their point. But there was no way he was letting his teammates get hurt because of him. After all, Dog, the ANBU, had told him that whoever abandoned their friends was worse than trash. And he was many things, but definitely not trash. But dropping out of his genin team was out of the question. There was no way he would give up on being a ninja or a seals master. So how was he going to get out of this one? He'd think about this tomorrow when his head was clearer. Padding once more over to the closet, he pulled out a huge pile of blankets and went to sleep. Chapter 8. Naruto and Sasuke. Naruto abruptly sat up, chest heaving with his heavy breathing. That dream again. It was getting old. Throwing his legs over the side of the bed, he stood and grabbed a piece of bread for breakfast. The more he woke up, the more the previous day came rushing back. The villagers threatened my team, Naruto recalled. Slumping over in a chair, he sighed. He didn't know which group had left the scroll on his doorstep, but it was a logical guess that they were shinobi. Simple civilians didn't have guts like that. And if they were shinobi, they probably had the skill to back up their threats. Simple genin like Sasuke and Ino wouldn't stand a chance. He reached into the closet for a coat and bundled up before heading outside. The wind was crisp and cool, but Naruto felt warm enough for the time being. As much as he hated it, it was time to make up with his godfather. And, due to the sage's reputation, he had the perfect idea of where to look. Sure enough, the Sannin was peeking into the bathhouse and chuckling creepily. Naruto tapped him on the shoulder. The tall man jumped nearly 2 feet into the air as he whirled around, hands already forming seals. Naruto raised his hands peacefully, raising an eyebrow. Relax, old man. It's Naruto. The white-haired man thinned his eyes at Naruto. Minato's kid? What do you want? Naruto's expression grew blank. Any trace of sardonic amusement wiped clean. It's about this. Naruto tossed the scroll at the toad sage, frowning. Jiraiya's expression twisted into a scowl of concentration as his eyes scanned the words on the scroll. Mean darkening, he simply asked, "What is this? Gaki?" Naruto crossed his arms over his chest. Just what it looks like. A threatening letter. The only reason I brought it to you is because I can't protect myself and my teammates, and Sandaime is busy enough already. You, on the other hand, appear to have entirely too much free time. I don't expect any favors from you, but this is a matter of Konoha village. So if you would deal with it accordingly, that would be appreciated. I don't care if you tell anyone. Just figure things out before this gets out of hand. He turned to leave before Jiraiya even had a chance to respond. Jiraiya stood. Hey kid, wait a second. Naruto stopped, but didn't turn. What is it? The Sannin twitched. I really don't like this kid. He's nothing like Minato in personality. What do you plan to do? Naruto finally turned around and looked the sage in the eye. The kid's expression was angry. What I always do. Survive and endure. I don't expect anything from anyone by now. Goodbye. Jiraiya took 3 quick steps and grabbed Naruto by the shoulder. Wait, hold up. I'm trying to help here, Gaki. Naruto jerked his shoulder free. His eyes were like chips of ice. I don't need your help, he said coldly before disappearing via body flicker. Jiraiya sighed. Stubborn brat. Definitely got his mom's attitude. Naruto released a pent-in breath. He was glad Jiraiya felt guilty enough that he wouldn't say no. Otherwise he would have been in deep trouble. He knew in a few days he'd be in the hospital anyways. It was good to know his teammates wouldn't be joining him. Even if he didn't like them much. Performing a quick henge, he trotted into a shop and purchased some ramen. He was out, and there wasn't enough money this month for anything else. His team would be meeting soon. Body flickering home, he dropped off his groceries, released the henge, and headed towards his team's meeting spot. As always, he was the last one there. He was never late, but Kurenai was very punctual. The Uchiha's pride would never allow him to be anything less than on time, and Ino would be there the moment Sasuke was because she was a stalker fangirl. Kurenai smiled at him. Ino gave him a tiny nod. Sasuke glared. Humph. Uchihas. Hey. Naruto greeted his team, hands shoved in his pockets. Hello, Naruto. Kurenai greeted the boy. Ino didn't say anything, but she didn't yell at him, either. Naruto took it as a sign of progress. So what's going down today? Kurenai smirked slightly. Today is you and Sasuke's turn. Ino and I will have a little chat. Have fun, you two. Naruto gulped slightly. This day would not be fun. Turning to the raven, Naruto scowled. Where are we going? Sasuke glared back. The Uchiha compound, he said haughtily. Naruto wordlessly turned and began walking in the direction of the prestigious clan complex. Sasuke followed. Dope. Is that a question, Sasuke? Because I'm not going to answer until you ask it properly. Naruto rolled his eyes, not turning to face the Uchiha. Why didn't you talk about your birthday? Sasuke blurted. Naruto stopped mid-step. How many days have you been stewing over that one, Sasu? Sasuke grabbed Naruto's shoulder roughly and spun him around. Answer the question, Dobe. And don't call me that. Meeting Sasuke's eyes, Naruto laughed darkly. Fine, Uchiha. My birthday is the worst day of my life for me. I have no reason to talk about it. Sasuke's eyes narrowed. He said nothing else, but he seemed skeptical. He didn't think birthdays were worth celebrating. But they weren't the worst day in the year for him, either. Something was strange about this, but he couldn't quite put his finger on it. Dobe, what day is your birthday? Naruto looked like he wanted to strangle the Uchiha heir. October 10th. Now drop it, team. Sasuke's mind immediately connected that date to the Kyuubi festival. It made no sense whatsoever. Why would Naruto regret being born on a holiday? Naruto didn't feel the need to enlighten him, though he could almost hear the cogs turning in the raven's head. We're here, he interrupted. Sasuke couldn't stop the brief look of surprise from flitting across his face. He hadn't noticed. He quickly composed himself. I suppose I'll have to let you inside. Naruto sneered slightly. Yeah, I suppose you will. The two boys headed inside. Hostility flavored the air. Sasuke led him around for a while, a silent tour guide. When they reached the library, Naruto stared around in awe. What I could do with all these jutsu. Sasuke's interpreted his expression. What, you've never been in a library? Naruto's stance grew defensive. Only once. They kicked me out after that. But since when did you care? The Uchiha's brows knitted inwards. Dope. His expression twisted somewhat. He knew he'd regret this. You're welcome to borrow them. But if you ever damage one, I won't let you do it again. Naruto's eyes were filled with such unmasked incredulity that Sasuke was taken aback. You serious, Uchiha? There was a hint of longing in his voice that Sasuke was extremely uncomfortable noticing. As I said, Sasuke said stiffly in reply. A grin spread slowly across Naruto's face, like the sun coming out. Thanks, team. He got out before walking quickly to the nearest bookcase and rifling through the scrolls carefully. He picked up the first one that caught his eye. It appeared to be a high-level tracking technique. Can I borrow this one? He turned to Sasuke with a childlike enthusiasm. Abruptly, he remembered who he was with and hid his expression. It was a bit too late, though. I don't think I've ever seen him look so happy. Sasuke mused to himself. Yeah. Dope, he said, feigning boredom. Inwardly, though, his interest was sparked. Who knew Naruto had this side to him? Naruto grinned again. Thanks, Sasuke. He pocketed the scroll. I'll bring it back when I've learned the technique. Are all these scrolls ninjutsu? Sasuke blinked. Many are books on jutsu theory. Some are specialized books such as medical or sealing jutsu. But many are ninjutsu, yes. That is so cool. Naruto crowed. Thanks again. Maybe you're not so bad after all. Sasuke's mouth formed a small O for a split second before he collected himself. Chin. Are we done here? Naruto cocked his head to the side, anxious to get moving. Sasuke sighed. Yes. All right, my first place is the training grounds. Naruto had a mischievous gleam in his eyes that made Sasuke nervous. Dope? Was that an apprehensive note in the Uchiha prodigy's voice? With that evil chuckle, Naruto began headed towards a certain training ground we like to call the Forest of Death. Here we are. Naruto laughed. Sasuke stared. Dope. This is a restricted area. Naruto put his hands on his hips and turned to face Sasuke with an indignant expression. Oh, come on, team. Don't tell me you're afraid of a little rule breaking. Or, have you never done it? Sasuke struggled to keep a neutral expression. This is dumb. I'm leaving. Naruto just grinned at him. Fine. I guess you just aren't a good enough ninja to survive in here. Then, sucks to be you. The last Uchiha whirled around. He could tell he was being baited, but no one insulted his skill as a shinobi. Fine. Let's go. Naruto gave him a victory sign and started climbing the gate. Yes. Why was Uzumaki being so childish all of a sudden? Why here? Naruto turned to look at him. His expression returned to his normal seriousness. It's a good place to train with no one around to spy on me. Sasuke shrugged. It made sense to him. They wandered around the forest for a while, encountering a few rabid animals that tried to eat them. But other than that, things were perfectly normal. Sasuke looked a little worse for the wear by the time they finished wandering around. Woo, I haven't been there in a while. Where to next, team? Naruto and Sasuke climbed the gate and left the training area. The lake. Sasuke mumbled. With the dock. Okay then. He led the way. Sasuke followed him sullenly. Yes. Naruto gave him a small smile. I used to see you sitting there all the time. He admitted. We were both loners, weren't we? Although I guess we still are. Sasuke grunted. Dope. As if feeling a little guilty for not sharing Naruto's sentiments, he added, You're right. They'd reached the lake. Naruto plopped down on the dock, pulled off his ninja sandals, and dangled his feet into the water. Sasuke sat a few feet away, staring into the water. Nay, Sasuke, do you sometimes wish you'd have been born in a normal family? Sasuke spared him a glance. Sometimes, he allowed. Naruto laughed softly. Team, I thought about it a lot. What it would be like to have a family. I can't quite imagine it. If I would have had parents, I wouldn't be anything like I am now. It's strange to consider. My world is totally different from almost everyone. His lips quirked up slightly. You're one of the few who can understand what I'm talking about, but on so many levels, you don't. You'll never understand not having anyone who cares about you more than anything else. And, unlike you, I'll never understand losing the ones who did care about me. Voice strangely melancholy, Naruto finished, We're so similar, yet so different. It's odd. Sasuke couldn't hold back his bewildered stare. This was coming from Naruto? The dope? Said Dobe chuckled. The look on your face is priceless, Sasuke. The Uchiha struggled to compose his features. Naruto just smiled. Even when you do that, I can tell what you're feeling. For a person as familiar with masks as I am, you're an amateur. I make you nervous, don't I? It's not like anyone will care, Sasuke. Everyone in this world looks out for themselves first. As long as you're a strong ninja and don't bother anyone else, they don't care what you do. I can guarantee it. They might have a problem with the great Uchiha being on a team with a lowlife like me. But you don't, of course. You could care less because everyone's beneath you. It doesn't bother me. Everyone views me that way. You can do what you like. However, we're teammates, Sasuke. If you've got problems with me, I don't really care. Personally, I think we could be friends someday. But even if we don't get along, we're both professional enough to put the mission first. That's why I don't dislike you. Naruto pulled his feet from the water and turned to give Sasuke a sheepish grin. I'm not usually the type to give monologues, but you sure aren't gonna bring up our issues. So I'm just laying it out for you. Almost as an afterthought, the blonde added, "Oh yeah, and Ino should be leaving you alone. I'm working on it. Anyways, even if she is annoying, I'd suggest you work out your problems." He put on his shoes and stood, holding out his hand to Sasuke. The raven hesitantly took it, and Naruto pulled him to his feet. Naruto released his hand and turned around. "Let's go to my house now." He started walking. Sasuke was curious. He hadn't really been invited into other people's houses before, and although he would never on pain of death admit it out loud, he didn't hate Naruto. Naruto smirked at him. "Don't get too excited, team." Sasuke glared back. "Dope. How did the blonde do it?" His face was totally blank. Naruto snickered. He rolled his sleeve up to his left shoulder, bit his right thumb, and smeared a little blood on his bicep, where a tattoo-like seal was painted. There was a puff of smoke and a key appeared into Naruto's hand. Sasuke was interested immediately. What kind of jutsu was that? Naruto cocked his head as if puzzled. "Fuinjutsu. Sealing." Sasuke frowned. "I've never heard of it." Naruto grinned. "Don't sulk, Uchiha. Not many have. It's rather obscure. I want to become a master one day. There is only one in Konoha, Jiraiya of the Sannin." His face soured slightly. "I'm definitely gonna surpass that old man." Sasuke gave him a rare smile. "Sounds cool." Naruto grew more animated as he spoke. "It's kinda dry to study, but the results are worth it. We're here." Naruto shielded his eyes and stared up at an apartment complex. "Kinda a hole in the wall. But it's my own place, so I don't mind. I'm on the second floor." They trekked up a floor of stairs and down the hall to Naruto's room. "Here we are." Naruto unlocked the door and stepped inside. Sasuke was taken aback at how impersonal Naruto's apartment was. Nothing remotely individual was lying around. No clothes on the floor, no photographs on the wall or the shelves, no keepsakes. Just furniture. Naruto noticed his scrutiny. "Dreary, isn't it? But I don't plan to stay here long. In a year or two, I'm gonna claim my father's house." Sasuke wasn't the type to ask personal questions, so he refrained. That didn't mean he wasn't dying to know. The way Naruto spoke, his father was either a great hero or a great rebel. Either would be intriguing. He watched as Naruto took the scroll he'd borrowed and sealed it into another scroll. At Sasuke's quizzical look, he said simply, "It's fireproof." Expecting a fire anytime soon. "Dope?" Sasuke rolled his eyes. Naruto didn't laugh. "This happened before." Sasuke deflated slightly. "Mph. Team. Since I'm a good host, do you want anything to drink?" "Oops. Oh well, it was just Naruto. Got any tomato juice?" Sasuke tried to keep the eagerness out of his voice. Naruto blinked. "As absurd as that request is, I actually do. Hang on a sec." He disappeared into the kitchen. Sasuke perched on the sofa to wait. Naruto opened a can of tomato juice and poured it into a glass. Grabbing a strawberry soda for himself, he returned and handed Sasuke his glass of juice. "Here you go." Sasuke sipped the juice. "Tomatoes are so delicious," he thought dreamily. Naruto rolled his eyes. "You're welcome, team." Sasuke grinned in reply. Perhaps Naruto wasn't so bad after all. He did have tomato juice, for example. Naruto dropped on the couch beside Sasuke. "As annoyed as I was about this, today hasn't gone too badly. We should train together sometime. Sasuke simply shrugged, feigning indifference. I suppose it wasn't horrible, he said grudgingly. Naruto took one last swallow of his soda and tossed the empty can perfectly into the trash can. Score. He cheered for himself. Sasuke watched him with narrowed eyes. Dope. Isn't strawberry soda a girl's drink? Naruto thinned his eyes at Sasuke. Drinks have nothing whatsoever to do with gender, team. And your choice is way weirder than mine, so back off. Sasuke chuckled slightly. Whatever, dope. You just like girly soda. He finished his tomato juice and handed Naruto the empty glass. We're going to the market next. He thought he saw Naruto's face darken for a moment, but it could have been the light. Sure thing. Naruto disappeared into the kitchen to put the glass away. Inwardly, he was panicking. The market? Worst possible place, worst possible timing. Tomorrow was October 10th, his birthday, and the Kyuubi festival. Of all times to get the village mad at him. Tomorrow he'd be in the hospital for sure. His face was completely blank as he returned to where Sasuke waited by the door. Off we go, he said lightly. Sasuke was disturbed by the cheerful yet somber vibe Naruto was giving off. He was unsure what had taken place. Yes. They left the room and Naruto locked the door behind them, resealing the key when he had finished. Why do you have a seal for your key? Sasuke said after they got down the stairs. So they don't steal it and trash my apartment. Again, I lost it a lot. This solved the problem. Naruto rubbed his head shamefacedly. Sasuke smirked. Dope. Naruto laughed. It sounded hollow to his own ears. Lead the way, Uchiha. Show the poor commoner how it's done. He did his best to ignore the uncomfortable stares as he followed Sasuke around. The Uchiha was, blessedly, too engrossed in making his rounds to notice the whispers and glares. Sasuke bought about 7 tomatoes by the time they finished. You're quiet, dope, he said bluntly. Naruto sweat dropped. Did the kid have no tact? Guess I'm tired from early morning training. Sasuke eyed him suspiciously, but let it drop. Where is your last place? I guess the academy, but we've both been there hundreds of times, so let's call it a day. I'm sure Kurenai-sensei won't mind, since we worked out our issues and that was the point of this whole day. Naruto waved. See you in a few days. Have fun with your tomatoes, Sasu. Oi, Naruto. A few days? We have a team meeting tomorrow. Sasuke growled as Naruto gave him a backwards wave and completely disregarded everything he'd just said. Stupid dobe. Naruto speedwalked back to his apartment. He quickly unsealed his key, unlocked the door, stepped inside, relocked the door, and resealed his key all in the span of about 10 seconds. Tomorrow, it would be a hard day. Chapter 9. The Kyuubi Festival. Naruto slept as long as he possibly could before rising the next morning. Stumbling to his closet, he pulled on his old orange jumpsuit. No point in ruining his new clothes. If only he was allowed to leave the village one day every year. But he didn't want to break any village rules, so he stayed put. But honestly, you would think at least someone would notice he was put in the hospital every Kyuubi festival. There was no way it was coincidence. However, no one cared enough to point it out. Naruto himself would face a whole army of hostile villagers, civilians and shinobi alike. There was no way he was going to personally publicize this thing. It would only become worse if he said something, and escalation was what he had to avoid the most. If things escalated anymore, he could wind up dead. Sometimes he cursed the Sandaime Hokage. The old man called him in every October 10th to give him a present, but he wasn't even aware of how much trouble that caused Naruto. Sighing, Naruto left his apartment and headed to the Hokage Tower. The Sandaime waved him in. Naruto, happy birthday, my boy. He signaled the ANBU to exit the room. When they were gone, the old man continued, Kurenai told me you wanted access to your father's scrolls, but she didn't know who your father was. Do you know Naruto? The blonde simply nodded in reply, holding back a sharp retort. The Hokage smiled slightly and blew out a puff of smoke from his pipe. So you know, that is good. For your birthday present, I'm giving you the key to his estate. I don't think you should live there quite yet, but everything there is yours now. Please don't do anything dangerous without Kurenai's approval. When you become a jounin, you will speak further about you residing in the Namikaze estate. Now go enjoy yourself. Your teammates will all want to wish you a happy birthday as well." Naruto bowed slightly. "Thanks, Ji-san." He left the office. Yeah, right. Sasuke's the only one who knows. Like he's gonna go out of his way to do something for me. Of all people, Naruto snorted to himself. He avoided where his team was meeting and walked the opposite way. Bad choice. A group of people were waiting for him. Naruto recognized almost all of them. They'd attacked him before. He instinctively dropped into a defensive stance. Perhaps since he'd been training with Gai-sensei, he wouldn't be hurt so badly this time. He quickly sealed away the Namikaze Manor key. It was the only priceless thing he owned, and to lose it would be devastating. One nin, a chunin by the looks of his vest, spoke up first. "Kyuubi brat thinks that he's hot stuff, doesn't he? Prancing around with the Uchiha, visiting the Hokage, and even hanging off of poor Inoichi's girl. Getting a little too big for his boots, isn't he?" He stepped closer, eyeing Naruto like a predator eyes its prey. Naruto licked his suddenly dry lips. "I'm not the Kyuubi," he protested weakly. The chunin glared at him. "We all know what you are, demon. You can't fool us like you fooled the Hokage." A few began circling around him. They surrounded him, cutting off all escape routes. Naruto closed his eyes in resignation. He hated his birthday. The first stinging blow fell on his right cheekbone. Black eye, check. He opened his eyes and dodged the next jab, aimed at his stomach. Someone hit him from behind and he fell forwards onto his hands and knees. A foot ground his face into the dirt. "Let's go, boys." Naruto faintly heard one yell. Realizing the danger he was in, Naruto frantically gathered chakra in his hands and pushed up, grabbing the foot, pushing him down and twisting as hard as he could. The man howled. You scrap. You broke my foot." Naruto inched backwards, terrified by the look of murderous rage in the man's eyes. His arms were suddenly seized and wrenched behind him. One cracked and Naruto stifled a yell, biting his lip so hard it bled. "Don't worry, Mizuki. We'll teach this demon scum a lesson." The blows came all at once, from every direction. A blood-red haze of pain surrounded him as they beat him to a pulp. Blood dripped from his head, his nose, his mouth, everywhere. When they released his arms, he fell to the ground, limp. But Mizuki wasn't satisfied. Naruto wondered through his delirium where he'd heard that name before. Mizuki, he presumed, lifted him up by the front of his shirt. Blearily, Naruto looked up at him and wished he hadn't. Mizuki's eyes were filled with a berserker's rage. Naruto scrambled to produce chakra, because he was certain at that moment that Mizuki would kill him. Mizuki felt the chakra start to collect and just laughed. "Yoru, drain his chakra." Just like that, Naruto felt all his chakra pulled away. "Kyuubi, I need your chakra, now." Mizuki yelped and dropped Naruto as the demonic chakra burned his arm. "He's using his demonic powers," he screeched. "Don't heal me just yet, Q. I'll need all your chakra to blow these guys off the face of this earth." Naruto crouched on all fours, the red chakra surrounding him. He let loose a feral roar. 3 tails billowed out behind him, thrashing wildly. "I'm sick of you. I never hurt you. But I'm not gonna keep taking your crap. You should all just die." Naruto's voice was low and gravelly. He was about to charge and rip them to pieces when he was surrounded by wooden bars. An ANBU held his hands together, forming a seal. "Uzumaki Naruto. Cease attack." Naruto wilted, realizing what he'd been about to do. "I understand," he whispered, voice hoarse. The wood withdrew into the ground. Naruto staggered to his feet and began walking towards the ANBU. He realized something was wrong when he heard heaving breathing behind him. He whirled around to see. Blood splattered across his face, and he found himself unable to breathe. Eyes wide with shock, he reached his fingers up to his throat. They came away coated in blood. His jaw moved, and no sound came out. As his legs gave out, he hacked out blood and fell to the ground. His eyes fluttered, and he stared into nothing. The ANBU stared in disbelief. Mizuki, a sensei from the academy, had just slit his student's throat. He stared at the blood pooling around Naruto's prone body, frozen. When Naruto coughed, he snapped out of his daze. I need a medic team south of the Hokage Tower. Subject is in critical condition and needs emergency care stat. He spoke into his radio. He quickly, and somewhat viciously, knocked out all the ninja and citizens present. They would be detained for questioning. Only then did he go to Uzumaki. The pulse was faint and erratic. He applied what little first aid he knew as he waited. He was forced to stop when he felt an approaching presence. Looking up, he spotted the Uchiha. Sasuke stared at Naruto in morbid fascination. Is that Naruto? What happened? He felt like he'd seen the Uchiha massacre all over again. The blood, it brought it all back. The ANBU finally answered. That group over there attacked him. His throat was cut. He's alive, for now. Sasuke couldn't tear his eyes away from Naruto. He'd said he hated his birthday. Was this why? What was going on here? Naruto had expected this. Did that mean it had happened before? The very thought made Sasuke feel sick. What can I do to help? Sasuke croaked. The ABNU turned towards Sasuke. Help is on the way, kid. You can do one thing, though. Find Jiraiya of the Sannin. He has long white hair, you'll know him when you see him. He should be at the bathhouse. Sasuke jumped up and sprinted for the bathhouse. He'd never run so hard in his life. In practically 3 minutes flat, he found Jiraiya. South of Hokage Tower. Naruto. Sasuke got out between pants. Jiraiya frowned with mock severity. What nonsense are you spouting, Uchiha? Sasuke caught his breath. The ANBU sent me. Someone slit Naruto's throat. All joviality disappeared. Take me there, now. Jiraiya followed Sasuke to where Naruto lay in his own blood. Oh, not good, not good. Jiraiya paced. He's going to die if we don't do something right now. Tsunade's not here. No medics except her can fix this. Abruptly, he stopped moving. Tenzu. Body flicker to the Hokage's office. Grab the slug summoning scroll, and come right back. It's our only option right now. The ANBU disappeared and reappeared a few moments later with a large scroll. Here it is, Jiraiya-sama. Jiraiya took the scroll. Listen up, Uchiha. We've only got one chance, so don't screw it up. He had Sasuke sign the contract and explained how to perform the jutsu. Pour all your chakra in. When a slug appears, tell it to reverse summon Tsunade here as soon as they possibly can. Sasuke nodded dutifully, gathering his chakra. It built and he released it all in one big burst. Kuchios no Jutsu. Summoning technique. A slug about the size of his arm appeared in a cloud of smoke. Sasuke quickly and concisely relayed Jiraiya's instructions. The slug disappeared to follow his command. Sasuke slumped to the ground, exhausted. Almost unconsciously, he scooted closer to Naruto. The blonde latched onto his arm like a lifeline. Sasuke smiled slightly. Dope, he whispered, even though he knew Naruto was beyond hearing. Tsunade suddenly appeared behind him. Jiraiya, what's wrong? Jiraiya faced her, determined. It's Minato's brat. Can you help him? Tsunade didn't bother to answer. Instead, she kneeled beside Sasuke. He's still alive? She sounded surprised. Sasuke glared at her. Are you going to help him or not? He snapped. Don't tell me how to do my job, Uchiha. Get out of my way. Tsunade snapped back. Sasuke attempted to do as she said, but Naruto's death grip prevented him. He won't let go, the Uchiha said helplessly. Tsunade ignored him and began pumping healing chakra into Naruto's chakra system. He's already healing himself, she mumbled, surprised. Sasuke looked on nervously. What's that supposed to mean? Tsunade shushed him. Slowly the slash on Naruto's throat began to close. The bruises all over his body faded. Finally, the slug princess slumped back. "That's the best I can do," she mumbled, sounding sorrowful. Sasuke's eyebrows knitted downwards. "Is he out of danger?" he asked, confused. Tsunade sighed. "Yes, he won't die, but I was unable to repair his vocal cords. He won't be able to speak anymore." Sasuke stared at her with horror. Not being able to speak, it wasn't entirely necessary for a ninja. But for Naruto, speaking was his only way of connecting with people. To take that away, he had no family, no place to belong, and now no speech? It seemed unusually cruel. Swallowing the lump in his throat, Sasuke said simply, "Thank you, Tsunade-heim." Jiraiya looked on silently. He'd failed Minato again, and he didn't know if he could recover from this in a long time. To make up for his failure, he would have to watch over Naruto forever. Tsunade lifted Naruto in her arms. "I'm taking him to the hospital. Jiraiya, you and Tenzu report to the Hokage. Uchiha, come with me." Naruto was still clamped on Sasuke's arm, so it wasn't like he had much choice in the matter. Everyone followed Tsunade's orders. She is much too scary to disobey. When they reached the hospital, Tsunade lowered Naruto onto a bed. He sat up, awake, almost instantly. He released Sasuke and tried to speak. All that came out was a ragged cough. Tsunade pushed him back down. "Hold it, brat. You shouldn't be talking. Your vocal cords are damaged." She rummaged around and found him a pen and paper. "Why is Sasuke here?" Tsunade read out loud and chuckled. Sasuke narrowed his eyes at Naruto. "Dope." Naruto gleefully wrote back, "Team," and grinned at Sasuke. Sasuke grinned back. Tsunade watched them, smirking, just like Obito and Kakashi. It was pretty funny, actually. "Naruto, is it? I'm Tsunade. Jiraiya and Sasuke brought me here." She paused to give him a chance to respond. "Ha, I've read about you. You should teach Ino, she has really good chakra control. Oh, and thanks for healing me. Are Ino and Kurenai all right?" Naruto's handwriting was barely legible. "They're fine. Why do you ask?" Sasuke peered suspiciously at Naruto. "Just making sure. So, I won't be able to talk again." Tsunade's eyes widened. She'd meant to bring it up gently. "No, Naruto. Your vocal cords can't be healed." "Ah, okay. I figured as much." Naruto's frantic scribbling paused for a moment. "Just making sure. Miss Tsunade, can you find me a lighter? I need to tell Sasuke a certain S-class secret." Tsunade took the hint. "Be right back." Naruto started writing. So yeah, S-class secret. Please don't go around repeating this or you'll get executed, and that would really suck. Oh, anyways, I kinda have the Kyuubi sealed inside me. Oh, and the Yondaime Hokage was my father. I think that's all." Sasuke stared at Naruto, dumbfounded. "Your dad sealed the Kyuubi into you?" he blurted, connecting the dots. Naruto's lips twisted slightly as if he was in pain. "Yes, it's not like he could do it to someone else's kid. It's logical. That doesn't mean I like it. We'll have words about it someday." Sasuke laughed. "Naruto will be Naruto Dobe. Why did they try to kill you?" Naruto scowled. His pen dug into the paper a little more than necessary. "Most of the village has this harebrained notion that I'm the Kyuubi incarnate. It's always been that way. But Mizuki just totally went berserk." "Mizuki was the one who tried to kill you?" Sasuke's eyes flashed red. "Sasu, your Sharingan just activated. Calm down. This is normal for me, so calm down." Naruto attempted to soothe the raven. "Don't call me that," Sasuke muttered sullenly. He was intrigued that his Sharingan had activated, though he'd have to experiment more later. "It's quicker to write. Deal with it, team. And don't do anything stupid. This is my problem and I will take care of it. Stop mother-henning." Naruto laughed silently at his own wit. Sasuke slammed his palms down on the table beside Naruto's bed. "Don't accuse me of mother-henning." "It's okay, Sasu. I know I worried you, and I'm sorry. Naruto seemed mischievous, but he wasn't lying. Sasuke blinked. Don't let it happen again, Naruto. I mean it. If you'd been out much longer, I'd have had to amputate my arm. Why? Naruto blinked. Sasuke smiled. Payback time. When I got there, you grabbed onto me and wouldn't let go. Even Tsunade couldn't pry you off. A bit of a fib, but the look on Naruto's face was totally worth it. Crossing his arms indignantly over his chest, Naruto pouted. Team. He finally wrote, adding a little sketch of Sasuke with devil horns. It was surprisingly good artwork. Sasuke grinned. A revenge is fun. What? Where did his Uchiha emotionless state go? He abruptly tried to compose himself. Naruto snickered soundlessly at him again. I told you that doesn't work on me. You might as well just do what you want, team. Now what do you say you break me out of here? Sasuke growled. No way, dope. You were seriously hurt. You should be in here at least a week. I'm gonna find Kurenai and Ino. I went to look for you and never came back. They must be wondering where I am by now. Naruto stabbed his finger towards Sasuke. Mother hen, he accused. Whatever, dope. Hurry up and heal, you owe me a sparring session. Oh, and learn sign language. I'm not going to read your terrible scribbling every day. I'll go blind. Yes, mother hen. Naruto rolled his eyes playfully at Sasuke. Sasuke left to find Kurenai and Ino. Naruto fell back against his pillow and went to sleep. His last thought was, I hate hospitals. So boring. Chapter 10, Aftermath. Naruto bolted upright, hands clutching his throat. His clothing was drenched with sweat, and his breaths were ragged. Just a dream, he reassured himself. He'd been staring straight ahead, so he jumped when a hand was placed on his shoulder. Naruto. Quickly jerking his head up, he relaxed when he met Kurenai's crimson eyes. Picking up the pen and paper by his bed, he scrawled out, Hey, Kurenai-sensei. Kurenai frowned at him. Her eyes were sad. Why didn't you tell me about this, Naruto? I asked if you needed help. Naruto pursed his lips. I was really happy when you asked me, but I was scared. His face twisted into a grimace. I thought if you knew how much danger I would put Sasuke and Ino in, you'd be mad and kick me off your team. I was lucky to get on the team of someone who didn't hate me in the first place, and I didn't want to ruin that. Kurenai's whole demeanor became stern. You're my student as well, Naruto. Don't think that I would be so petty as to favor one student over another. I understand that you're not used to much companionship, but you definitely have some things to learn about people. In the future, when I offer my help, it isn't just for show. If you need help, I expect you to take it. Is that understood? Naruto nodded, eyes hooded. Yes, sensei. Good. I am sorry for what Mizuki did to you, Naruto. You are welcome in my home anytime. I have to go for now, but I will visit again soon. Sasuke and Ino are waiting outside. I'll send them in. Oh, and Naruto? She put her hand on his shoulder. Those villagers who attacked you. They have no idea what they're talking about. I am truly sorry for their stupidity. They are being questioned and will be put on trial soon. The Sandaime will see to it that they won't attack you ever again. With a reassuring squeeze, she released him and left the room. Ino and Sasuke came in. Naruto waved, giving them a small smile. Ino's face crumpled, and she scrambled for something to say but failed. Sasuke ignored her and pulled a chair to Naruto's bedside. Dope, he greeted. Naruto's face scrunched up childishly. Team. He returned. His gaze slid sideways towards Ino. Tell Piggy I'm not dying, and she should stop looking at me all teary-eyed. It's creepy. Sasuke chuckled and turned to Ino. The dope says he's not dying, so don't look at him like that. Ino sputtered like a fish out of water. Finally, she marched over to Naruto and hit his head. Not nearly as hard as she'd used to. Baka! I was so worried. Her arm dropped to her side. Naruto shot Sasuke a quizzical look. The raven shrugged in reply. He didn't presume to understand women. Sorry, Ino. Naruto held the notepad up for her to read. Ino just rolled her eyes and pulled up a chair. We're both going to learn sign language. Well, I guess our whole team will learn together. I didn't think our first real team session would be to do something so depressing. Ino chewed her lip. I know. Sasuke already declared that I learn. Naruto rolled his eyes at her. Ino giggled. Luckily, Sasuke hadn't seen that note. I'm glad you're feeling okay, Naruto. I need to go back to the shop now, but I'll bring you some flowers later. She surprised even herself when she gave Naruto a hug before leaving. Get well soon. Naruto stared after her for a moment, a baffled look on his face. Shaking his head, he sighed. Women. He cocked his head and turned to Sasuke. So what happened? Is Tsunade still here? Where did Jiraiya disappear to? Sasuke's eyebrow twitched in annoyance. Tsunade is still here, checking on other patients. I don't know where Jiraiya went. Naruto crossed his arms and nodded. What about your Sharingan? Did you reactivate it yet? I trained this morning, Sasuke said by way of explanation. Naruto raised a brow. And? The Uchiha scowled. Not yet. Naruto grinned. I'll help you if you sneak me out. Sasuke hesitated. Fine. He gave in. Your clothes are right there. I'll wait outside. Naruto scooped up his clothes, changed, and met Sasuke outside. There's something you guys aren't telling me. It's my apartment, right? Sasuke looked alarmed, which, for an Uchiha, was a slight widening of the eyes. Yeah. He admitted, burned to the ground. The remnants of your things are at the Hokage Tower. Let's collect those first, then. I don't want to walk around in blood-stained clothes. The two snuck out of the hospital and entered the Hokage Tower. Hey, Ji-san. Naruto greeted the Sandaime cheerily by sticking a notepad in his face. I came for my stuff. The Hokage let out a deep breath. Naruto. Sasuke. He welcomed them. Your scrolls are over there, Naruto. Naruto strolled over and inspected the scrolls. 2 are missing. His eyes sharply studied the Hokage. The Sandaime met Naruto's eyes. He looked haggard. Jiraiya has the other ones. He wanted to examine the seals. He bought a house, you know. The old man smiled. While the conversation seemed like a jumble of random information, Naruto understood precisely what he meant. I think you made him feel guilty, Naruto. Naruto processed this, his expression blank. I see. Well, tell him to return them as soon as possible. He turned to leave. I think he hopes to talk with you, Naruto. You should give him a second chance. The smoke from the Sandaime's pipe floated upwards, as if fleeing from the tension that remark created. Naruto paused. As you wish. He finally wrote in reply, face cool. He left the office. Sasuke gave the Hokage a stiff nod and followed Naruto. Those boys. The Sandaime sighed and stared up at the ceiling. What am I going to do with them? Naruto tucked the scrolls in his weapons pouch. I know the perfect place to train. Let's go. Sasuke shrugged. He didn't care where he trained. Great. It's this way. Naruto dragged Sasuke to the Namikaze Manor. A huge iron gate blocked their entry. Naruto rolled up his tattered sleeve and unsealed the key. He unlocked the gate with reverence, eyes twinkling. Welcome to my future estate, Sasuke. As they stepped inside, both boys looked around with curiosity. There hadn't been a soul here in 12 years, and it was easy to tell from the state of the grounds. Looks like I've got a lot of work to do. Naruto sighed. Sasuke agreed. It had once been a beautiful place, he could tell. However, time had taken its toll. The buildings themselves needed only minor repairs. It was the yard that screamed for attention. Weeds sprouted from every surface imaginable. Trees were overgrown, and sidewalks were cracked and dirty. Well, here is as good a place as any. Maybe we'll kill a few weeds and save me some work. Naruto grinned and tossed his bulging weapons pouch to the side. So, activating the Sharingan. When you did it the first time, it was a tense situation. Adrenaline rush, heightened emotional state. Am I right? At Sasuke's nod, Naruto continued, the first few times you have to recreate that situation. After that, it should come naturally. Sasuke frowned. How do you know that, Dobe? Naruto tapped his cheek. Team, let me show you. Closing his eyes, he made a one-handed seal. When he reopened his eyes, they were a murky gray color. It's because I have a dojutsu of my own, Uchiha. I had to activate it by myself, too. Luckily, you have me to help you. With a mischievous grin, he added, and the best way to make it happen is a real fight. You up for it? A slow smirk spread across Sasuke's face. Do you even have to ask? Apparently not. Naruto laughed silently. He tossed his pen and paper aside and beckoned Sasuke towards him. Sasuke met Naruto's eyes and raised a brow. Naruto nodded. The two ran at each other and threw punches. Both missed. Jumping back a pace, Naruto sent a kick flying at Sasuke's shoulder. Sasuke caught Naruto's foot and threw him back. Landing on all fours, Naruto stood slowly. His eyes told Sasuke to watch. Reaching down, Naruto released the weights from his calves and lowered them to the ground. Sasuke growled and sprang at him, annoyed. What was the Dobe trying to say? Naruto suppressed a silent chuckle at Sasuke's sullen look, but his eyes laughed as he danced out of the raven's reach. Sasuke grew increasingly frustrated as the spar drew on. Each time he thought he was about to land a hit, Naruto dodged. There was no wasted movement by the blonde, and it irritated him. Naruto, on the other hand, was having a great time. It was nice to know that his training with Gai-sensei was already paying off. Absently, he dispelled his dojutsu. This seemed to enrage Sasuke further. Ninjutsu, the raven hissed out through clenched teeth. Naruto smirked. It was way too easy to make Sasuke mad. He dodged to the side as Sasuke sent fireballs his way. Biting his thumb and making a few hand seals, Naruto performed the Kuchiyose no Jutsu, summoning technique. Sasuke was startled when a black fox appeared in a cloud of smoke. He'd never even heard of the fox summoning contract. And Naruto had signed it. All of a sudden he wished he's received more summoning training. At his current level, there was no way he could match Naruto's summon. The black fox sprang towards Sasuke and bit his wrist almost hard enough to snap it. Sasuke recoiled. He hadn't expected the summon to actually hurt him. One glance at Naruto's face told Sasuke the fight had just begun for real. As the spar drew on, Sasuke was amazed that the fox and Naruto could work in such a synchronized manner without speaking to each other. It was nothing short of incredible. Did Naruto having the Kyuubi inside him have something to do with this? It was a strange thing to watch. The fight ended rather abruptly when the black fox pinned Sasuke to the ground, claws at his throat. Naruto quickly called the fox off and it disappeared. He reached a hand down, helping Sasuke to his feet. Naruto reclaimed his notepad and pen. Ask Tsunade for instruction with the slug summoning. Even if you think Kunoichi are inferior or whatever, she'll get it done much quicker than Jiraiya. Sasuke scowled. Asking a woman for help? It didn't sit right with him. But he nodded anyways. It would be useful after all. Good. Now, I bet you didn't even notice that your Sharingan is activated. Did you? Naruto grinned. Sasuke's hand unconsciously touched beneath his eye, betraying his surprise. See what a great sensei I am, Naruto boasted as he collected his weights and weapons pouch. Chin. Sasuke's brow creased as he frowned. What now, Dobe? Wanna explore the library? My dad's jutsu scrolls should be in there. It's what I came here for. Naruto looked wistfully towards the buildings. Fine. Sasuke agreed rather quickly. The two boys went into the biggest house first. They located the library very quickly and started exploring. It wasn't the size of the Uchiha library, but it was large nonetheless. Dope. I think I found the scrolls you want. Sasuke held a bundle of about 7 scrolls. Naruto moseyed over to take a look. Yup, these are the ones. I bet I can find some others, but these were the main ones I want. The scrolls were Rasengan, Hiraishin no Jutsu, and several on their family dojutsu and special techniques. One simply said, "For Naruto." "Thanks, Sasuke. I guess since you let me borrow stuff, you can have scrolls anytime you want, too." Naruto took the scrolls and shoved them with his sealing scrolls into his weapons pouch. "But for now, I should probably get back to the hospital before they send out a manhunt." He rolled his eyes. "I'm healed already. Come visit me again sometime, team. Oh, and if you want some more Sharingan training, ask Rock Lee. He can help you even better than I can." "I'd pay so much to see that." Sasuke smiled slightly at Naruto. "Bye dope. Work on your sign language." He shoved a book into Naruto's hands. Yeah. Mother hen." Naruto dodged the swipe Sasuke took at his head. Later. The two went their separate ways. When Naruto returned to the hospital, it was absolute chaos. The nurses quickly snatched him up and returned him to his room. Naruto sighed. Back to boredom. He reluctantly cracked open the book Sasuke had given him. After about a minute, he got bored and made a Kagebunshin go elsewhere to do it instead. Realizing the ingenuity of that idea, he pulled out all his new scrolls except the one addressed to him and distributed them to Kagebunshin, who scattered in various directions from the window. Wahoo, multitasking. He was interrupted from his celebration when Tsunade stormed into the room. "You little brat," she raged. "Do you have any idea how much trouble you've caused?" Naruto blinked innocently and pointed a finger towards himself as if saying, "Who, me?" Tsunade caught him in a headlock. "Don't give me that, squirt. You're in trouble. And I know the perfect punishment." Naruto was extremely frightened by the downright sadistic grin that spread across her face. "What are you planning?" "Oh, I think I'll unleash the green beasts of Konoha on you." With a cheery wave, Tsunade left the room. Something speedy and green flew into the room. Naruto. A sobbing Lee threw himself at Naruto, falling onto his bed face down. "I am sorry for what the unyouthful citizens of Konoha have put you through. With your flames of youth, you will surely triumph over the obstacles of a disability." Naruto patted Lee's head awkwardly. "He's like a big, disgustingly hairy puppy." "Thanks, Lee," he wrote. Tears ran down Lee's face and he scrunched it up strangely, clenching his fists. "Oh, Naruto's youthfulness will be a light to us all, Guy-sensei." Guy laughed creepily, he's good at it, and gave Lee a sparkling grin along with a thumbs up. "Yes, my cute student Lee. Follow in the light of Naruto's flames of youth, and the two of you will become so bright you will blind the world." Naruto's sweat dropped. "So our goal is to blind the world now. That doesn't sound very youthful. Thanks for visiting me, Guy-sensei, Lee. Hopefully I'll be training with you again in no time." "Yush." Lee's eyes became flaming. Guy-sensei put his hand on Lee's shoulder and addressed Naruto. "My temporary student Naruto. Do not fear when returning to training. Lee and I are both fluent in sign language, for it is a youthful way to speak. When you learn, we can all speak fluently." Naruto's eyes softened. "Thanks, Guy-sensei." His head turned as the door opened. It was Ino again. "Ah, Naruto, I see you have visitors. I'm just going to put these right here." She busied herself arranging some midnight blue and red flowers in a vase. Lee's eyes bugged out. He started to say something, but Guy clamped a hand over his mouth. "We'll be leaving now, Naruto. We hope that your youthful spirit will heal you, and that you return to train with us soon." The two green beasts of Konoha left the room. Ino laughed. "So that's the infamous Guy-sensei, eh? I'm surprised. I guess when you get out of the hospital, I'll get to know him quite well." "Thanks for the flowers, Ino. They're nice." Naruto sighed and flopped face down on his bed. "The hospital is so boring." He held up the notepad from his prostrate position so she could read. Ino smiled. Naruto could be so childish sometimes, it was kinda cute. Wait, did she really just think that Naruto was cute? God, what would Sasuke think? Ino quickly steered her thoughts away from that particular matter. It seems like you and Sasuke are getting along better. Naruto sat up. The team? I guess. I still think it's fun to annoy him. He grinned impishly. But we don't really hate each other anymore. Yeah? That's good. Oh, guess what? I learned the alphabet in sign language already, so I can spell stuff out at least. Ino smiled shyly at him. He grinned back. Awesome. He mentally ordered his Kage Bunshin reading the sign language to create a new clone and dispel itself, so he could at least know that much. The knowledge appeared in his head almost instantaneously. I've learned a bit too. I can probably at least carry on a decent conversation. Your name is easy, but Sasuke's gonna have to get a nickname. I am not signing his name every time. It's too long. Ino giggled. Yeah, you're probably right. Hey, listen, Naruto. She trailed off as the door opened. It was her father. Ino, come with me. Inoichi Yamanaka's gaze was stern as he looked at Naruto. Naruto shrunk slightly under his hateful eyes. Inoichi dragged Ino out of the room. Naruto buried his face in a pillow and sighed. How long is this going to continue? How many times do I have to prove myself before they stop looking at me like that? Suddenly feeling very alone, Naruto hugged himself and hunched over. Kuru? Yeah, Kit? The fox replied sleepily, as if he'd just awoken. Has it always been like this? For every host you've had? Naruto wanted to know. Yes, the Kyuubi said shortly. Naruto didn't ask anything else. His spar with Sasuke had left him tired, and he had nothing better to do. As he drifted off to sleep, he reminded himself to get something to cover the scars on his throat with. He didn't really mind the scars, but it would leave a target there for enemy shinobi to exploit in the future. His eyes fluttered closed, and he slept. Chapter 11. Upcoming C-Rank? Chunin exams? Naruto woke up several hours later when Tsunade re-entered the room. He smiled and gave her a little wave as greeting. Tsunade gave him a short checkup, channeling her chakra through his system. She shook her head in slight admiration. The Kyuubi's healing abilities are nothing short of miraculous. You're as healed as you'll ever be. You still won't be able to speak, but I think I can let you come and go as you please. You'll probably still stay here for a few days just to be safe, but you can train at least. The Sandaime is working on your housing situation. Naruto pumped his fist into the air before grabbing his pen and paper. What time is it? About 7 in the evening, Tsunade answered. Naruto cocked his head. So I can train with Gai-sensei and Lee in the morning? Tsunade shrugged. If you want. Naruto launched himself at her and gave her a giant hug. Thanks, Tsunade-bachan. Tsunade extricated herself from his grip. You're welcome, brat. Naruto was probably the only person in the world who could get away with calling her that. He was just like Kushina. Naruto grabbed his sealing scrolls and unsealed another set of weights, adding them to his leg braces. Nay, Tsunade? If I give Jiraiya another chance, will I just be disappointed again? Tsunade paused. Jiraiya is an idiot but not a liar. If he says he'll make it up to you, he will. He's not perfect. But who is? He is one of the few people I trust. Naruto let loose a long breath. Thanks. Oh, I almost forgot. Can you train Sasuke with the slug summon? Tsunade hesitated. Finally, she said, I'm not fond of the Uchiha. Normally, I would say no. But Sasuke was very worried for you, and since you asked, I suppose I can at least do that much. Thanks. Bachan, you're awesome. Naruto waved as Tsunade left the room again. He set an alarm for early in the morning. Briaing. Naruto bolted upright as the alarm sounded, raring to go. Training, training, he sang to himself. He would have gone to find Ino, but he remembered her dad dragging her away and thought better of it. He'd wait until their team meeting to let her know he was released to train. Hey Kuru, I'm working on chakra control again during training, so feed me chakra if I run out. The Kyuubi yawned lazily. Yeah. Naruto concentrated chakra to his feet and combined it with wind element, causing his feet to hover about an inch off of the ground. He began walking towards Guy-sensei's training area, but paused in his sojourn when he spotted the girl from Guy's team throwing hundreds of weapons with 100% accuracy. Wow, she's amazing. He went a little closer to watch. Tapping her shoulder, he held up his notepad. Can you do this with every weapon? Tenten blinked. You're Naruto, right? Lee talks about you. I'm Tenten. It's nice to meet you. To answer your question, mostly. My family owns a weapons shop, so I've been training since I was really young. That's amazing. You should show me some tricks sometime. My accuracy leaves a little to be desired. Naruto rubbed his head sheepishly. I better go now. It was nice talking to you. Naruto dashed off and skidded into the clearing where Guy-sensei and Lee were. Both looked up, surprised. Naruto, you were released for training? Guy questioned. Naruto nodded, and with a grin signed, I heal fast. Guy and Lee both looked delighted. Naruto, you've learned sign language. Lee signed back. Yes, I read an entire book last night. Naruto smiled. This was kind of fun. That is so youthful. Lee was practically bouncing up and down as he quivered with excitement. Naruto didn't know exactly what Lee had said on that last bit, but he could guess. What kind of training are we doing today? Warm-ups, some evasive taijutsu, and speed training. Guy answered, signing slowly so that Naruto could understand. Naruto nodded. Great. They trained for several hours. Naruto was pleasantly tired when they dismissed, but it was nothing like the exhaustion he'd felt on previous days. With a wave to Guy-sensei and Lee, he returned to where Tenten had been. She was still training. Naruto again tapped her shoulder. Wanna grab lunch somewhere? You've been training forever, you've got to be getting hungry. I'll buy. Tenten agreed. Honestly, who passes up free food? Thanks, Naruto. That would be great. Anywhere you want to go? Because I'm an Ichiraku addict. Naruto wrote. His face was solemn. Tenten laughed. Ichiraku's is great. By the way, is your team taking the Chunin exams? As they walked, Naruto wrote. I don't know. We've only done about 3 D ranks. Our teamwork sucked so horribly it was just a nightmare to do that much. But we've been hammering out all the rough edges. I think we're good enough now. Once Ino and Sasuke learn sign language, we should be good to go. Tenten nodded. Makes sense. Well, I hope my team will see yours in the exam. Lee certainly seems to like you. They both entered Ichiraku and ordered their food. What about your other teammate? I don't think I've met them. Naruto took a seat and gestured for Tenten to do the same. Tenten sighed. Oniji? He's a Hyuga. He acts like the Uchiha, though. That's probably why you've not met him. He's not fond of Guy. Naruto considered this. Hyuga? Is he related to Hinata? Tenten shrugged. I think they're cousins. I'm not sure, though. Naruto perked up as a bowl of steaming miso ramen was placed in front of him. Itadakimasu. He mouthed, before breaking his chopsticks and slurping up the ramen. Tenten had ordered shrimp ramen. She also started eating, albeit at a much slower pace than Naruto. They sat in companionable silence as they finished their meal. Naruto had 4 more bowls, and Tenten Jutsu ordered a second bowl. Naruto unsealed some money from his scrolls and paid the bill. Will you do some weapon shopping with me tomorrow around this time? I've been meaning to do it for a while but haven't found the time. Tenten grinned. Sure. I'll make sure to find you precisely what you need. Thanks, Tenten. See you tomorrow then. With a wave, Naruto turned towards the hospital. His team would be waiting. Sure enough, when he arrived, all 3 looked impatient. Hey, sorry I'm late, he signed. Ino was the only one who looked confused. Kurenai smiled and signed back. You've been cleared for training? Naruto nodded. Hey sensei, are we entering the… With a roll of his eyes he spelled it out, Chunin exams? Kurenai appeared startled. I haven't really considered it. While it's true your teamwork has improved, you have no real field experience. Well, Sasuke and Ino don't anyways. Sasuke butt in. I'm ready. The two of us together can take care of Ino. Naruto smirked. Kurenai shrugged. I'll think on it. Perhaps we should do a C rank first, though. Ino was getting frustrated, following only bits and pieces of the conversation. Hey Naruto, why didn't you find me if you were training this morning? Naruto frowned. Your dad. Ino sighed. I get it. I can go tomorrow though, right? Yes. Naruto blinked. Turning to Kurenai, he signed, Are we doing sign language stuff or training? Both. Kurenai responded. But we'll train first. She continued out loud, mostly for Ino's sake, we've done teamwork training. I'm satisfied that you can work together as a unit. You all have fair chakra control and different skill sets, good enough to make Chunin. All you lack is experience and a grasp of ninja tactics. Experience can only come through time. Ninja tactics, though, are something that's different for each shinobi. I can guide you in your choices, but I can't make the choices for you. Kurenai rummaged around in her sash for a moment. Here we are. These are tactical exercises. I want the three of you to spread out and work on these by yourselves. Think carefully before you answer. The three genins of Team 7 scattered to do as Kurenai said. Naruto looked over the first question. During a mission, you find out that your enemy is a high-ranked missing nin. He leaves town. You assemble a team of trackers and pursue. B. Use a summon to keep track of the ninja's location while reporting to the Hokage. C. Attempt pursuit on your own. D. Set up an ambush. E. Return to Konoha to report without tracking the missing nin. Naruto rolled his eyes and selected the second answer. The whole test was similar, except the choices grew increasingly controversial. Finishing the sheet, Naruto stood and wandered back to Kurenai. I'm finished. He gave her the paper. Sasuke was already finished, and Ino sauntered up shortly after. The three dropped on the ground to wait as Kurenai looked over their work. She finished and looked up. From these answers, we have a balanced team. Ino, your answers were cautious and careful. You're the voice of reason on the team. This balances out Sasuke, who is rash, but has higher power levels than Ino. Naruto's answers were a mixture of strategy, ninjutsu expertise, and rationality. Qualities required in a leader. Kurenai smiled. The main purpose of this was for me to find out whose hands to leave this team in when I'm not around. Based on the results of this test, Naruto appears to be the best for the job. She looked to Ino and Sasuke. This is not an debatable decision. I expect you to follow Naruto's orders when I'm not around. Naruto watched them wide-eyed. He'd expected Sasuke to be the leader. Sasuke frowned. He clearly wasn't happy about this. Understood. But if the dobe's being stupid, we'll let him know. Ino nodded her assent as well. No one will expect it, at least. Kurenai smiled. Good, then it's decided. Tomorrow we will take a C-rank mission. After that, if all goes well, we'll enter the Chunin exams. Naruto did a victory dance. Sasuke nodded, superior smirk back in place. Even Ino was excited. Kurenai chuckled at their antics. We'll go study some sign language now. Tomorrow we'll meet at the Hokage Tower after lunch. Pack for a mission. Naruto, you should also inform Tsunade you'll be leaving. Reminded, Naruto tugged on Sasuke's sleeve. The raven turned, brows raised in inquiry. Tsunade said she'll help you with your slugs. You should find her in the morning and train before we have to go. Sasuke nodded his thanks. Ino was watching the two closely. They were starting to act suspiciously. Almost like friends, she felt like a third wheel sometimes. She was interrupted by her scrutiny when Naruto waved a hand in front of her face. He made a slow and deliberate few signs, but Ino didn't know them. At her helpless shrug, Naruto turned to Sasuke with a frustrated sigh. Sasuke rolled his eyes. The dobe wants you to go shopping with him. The shopkeepers don't understand sign language, it's a hassle to write that much, and he needs to replace things he lost in the fire. Ino made a face. She needed to get better at this sign language stiff. Sorry, Naruto. I have to help out at the flower shop today. Maybe Sasuke can help? Naruto pouted slightly, then turned to Sasuke. The Uchiha glowered. Fine. But do it quickly because there are things I need to do tonight as well. Naruto nodded vigorously. Fine. He mouthed back before sticking out his tongue at Sasuke. Ino suppressed a giggle. Thank you for asking me, Naruto. Maybe next time. I hope the two of you have fun. They all entered the library. In the sign language section there were about 20 books. When Kurenai started to pick up a stack, Naruto waved her back. Let me, sensei. He made 4 Kage Bunshin and they carried the books to a nearby table. For the next few hours, Team 7 studied the books, learning all they possibly could before they left on their mission. They practiced signing to each other and carried on conversations, looking up the signs that they didn't know. Kurenai had them compile a list of code words using simple signs, so as to throw off the enemy and alert each other quickly. Naruto also requested they shorten Sasuke's name, as it took too long to sign. The Uchiha countered that Naruto's name was just as long, and even harder to sign. Therefore, Naruto became Naru and Sasuke became Sasu. Neither was entirely happy about the girly nicknames. Finally, they went to the bookstore and each team member purchased a small sign language dictionary to take along on their mission. Ino and Kurenai left after that. Naruto compiled a list of the items he needed and shoved it at Sasuke. Mask, scarf, travel rations, ramen, matches, towels, new hitayate. Sasuke read out loud to confirm. One could never be sure with Naruto's handwriting, after all. Naruto nodded, then performed a henge. Sasuke was startled. What are you doing, dope? Naruto was now a mousy-looking guy with black hair. It's easier this way, he signed. Sasuke understood the hidden meaning and glowered at the ground. Let's go, then. They picked up all the things Naruto was looking for except the hitayate. Only the Hokage could supply that. Thanks, Sasu. I can do the rest. Have fun with whatever. He started to go but Sasuke stopped him. Wait, I didn't say the other day happy birthday. A warm glow filled Naruto. He smiled brightly at Sasuke and nodded. Thanks. He flounced away after that. It was a bit of a wait at the Hokage tower before he was let in. A masked man with silver hair came out. He eye-smiled at Naruto before going on his way. The Sandaime beckoned Naruto in. What can I do for you, Naruto? The blonde rummaged around for his pen and paper. I need a new hitayate. Mine burned. The Sandaime eyes looked sad. I see. He sorted through a stack of boxes in the corner and pulled one out. Take your pick. Naruto sifted through them and picked out his favorite. It was black with long tails. He tied it around his forehead with relish. Thanks, Jisan. The Sandaime chuckled. You're welcome, Naruto. I'm always glad to help. Naruto left the tower and walked back to the hospital. He found Tsunade after asking around a bit. She looked up as he came into another patient's room. Oh, Naruto, what do you want? Naruto held up a note already written. My team's going on a C-rank tomorrow. Can I be released early? Tsunade stared Naruto down. On one condition. You take one of my slugs with you. Naruto's face scrunched up with annoyance, but he nodded. Tsunade chuckled. I'll take care of the paperwork, brat. Do you have some place you can stay tonight? Naruto thought about it, then nodded. Sasuke wants to train in the morning before we leave. Also, could you tell me where Jiraiya's house is from here? Tsunade gave him a proud smile. Good for you, brat. She gave the directions and Naruto nodded. Thanks, Bachan. He dashed out the door and retrieved a few things from his hospital room. As he followed Tsunade's directions, he absently sealed his newly purchased items away. When he reached Jiraiya's house, he rolled his eyes. Figures. That perv totally bought a house a block from the bathhouse. Naruto hesitantly walked up to the door and knocked. Jiraiya peered out. When he saw who it was, his face sobered. Hey, Naruto. Come in. Naruto stepped inside. Tsunade said we should talk. He wrote deliberately. Jiraiya's brow furrowed. Look, kid. I'm really sorry. I should have been here for you. I was making excuses, I'll admit. What should I do to make it up to you? Naruto studied Jiraiya, face solemn. Help me learn my dad's jutsu. Jiraiya's eyebrows shot up. An interesting request. All right, I'll help. Anything else? Naruto considered it. Two things, I guess. I need a place to stay until Jisan finds me a new one. I also want my scrolls back. Jiraiya laughed guiltily. I can do that. You can stay as long as you like. I wanted to talk to you about your scrolls, too. I haven't seen anything like this before. He pulled the scrolls from his jacket and handed them over to Naruto. Huh, really? And here I thought they were pretty close. I learned from the books and tried to copy the concepts. I guess it didn't work that well. Naruto frowned. It worked, it was just an odd way to go about it. Jiraiya shook his head. Which stage of the Rasengan are you on, kid? Naruto sniffed. Third. I can do it with a clone, but I want to master it myself. Jiraiya grinned. Like father, like son. Want some tips? Chapter 12. Setting out. The sound of birds woke Naruto early. Glancing at the clock beside him, he sighed. 10 minutes before the alarm was set. Turning the alarm off, he stood up and meandered to the front room, grabbing the bag he'd stuffed all his scrolls into. Quietly, so as not to wake Jiraiya, he changed clothes and gathered up his things. He headed out to meet Ino where their team usually met. After that, he would head over to where Gai-sensei and Lee trained. As he had guessed, she wasn't there yet. It was early after all. Shifting from foot to foot, Naruto did his best to stay warm for a few minutes before getting annoyed. Tossing his weapons pouch stuffed with scrolls, a notepad, and paper to the side, Naruto began a taijutsu exercise. The moves had become so natural and thoughtless, he was almost meditating. In the future, he should probably start to develop his own taijutsu style. He would be happy to get out of the village for the first time. Perhaps the new experiences would give him some sort of idea. It had been a while since he developed a new jutsu, too. On the bright side, at least he'd been making progress on his taijutsu. His thoughts changed direction abruptly then. It would be difficult to choose a new weapon when he had no idea how his personal taijutsu style would turn out. The only thing he knew was that whatever style he chose, he wanted it to be fluid. Yes, that was the right word. A fluid taijutsu style would suit him most. He didn't have the most brute strength or speed out there, so having precision and no wasted movements would be his focus points. He was experimenting somewhat when he heard footsteps. Turning, he met Ino's eyes and waved. Hey, ready to go? Ino smirked. You bet I am. I'll show you I'm not a bad kunoichi. Heck, I'm sure you will. Naruto smirked back and began walking towards the meeting place. Hey, what's that supposed to mean, baka? Are you mocking me? Ino stormed after Naruto. Strangely enough, she was smiling slightly. What do you think? Naruto grinned back at her as he turned slightly to sign where she could see. I think you're still arrogant. Ino signed back, nose scrunched up in childish anger. Yeah, you're right about that one. Naruto signed cheekily. Inwardly, he wished he was somewhere else right now. On days like these, he really just wished he was alone. Sometimes being in the company of someone else made him realize just how alone he really was. At least he had Kuru. Ino and he walked in silence the rest of the way. Ino thought it was companionable, while Naruto just felt constricted. Naruto was all too glad when Lee and Gai-sensei greeted them both enthusiastically. He liked Ino better than he had before. But she seemed to think they were friends. Kurenai told me you were coming. Ino-san, I am glad there are youthful kunoichi such as yourself. Please address me as Gai-sensei. Gai grinned with a sparkle and gave her a thumbs up. Ino's sweat dropped. This was Konoha's taijutsu expert? Yikes. Yes. Thank you for training me, Gai-sensei. It is the springtime of youth. Let us train and become strong, so that we may shine. Lee babbled, smiling freakishly at Ino. Ino nearly gagged. Of course, Lee-san. She agreed a little too quickly. She glanced at Naruto, sure that he would be laughing at her. She was surprised to see him staring into the distance, a serious look on his face. "Hey, Naruto." His head jerked up in surprise. "What is it?" He signed back, seeming a little peeved. "You were kinda spacing out, that's all." Ino giggled. Naruto simply rolled his eyes and didn't bother to sign a reply. They trained for several hours. Ino became more and more suspicious as Naruto's moodiness seemed to increase. Was something wrong with him? He was acting almost broody. "What's wrong with you today, Naruto?" Ino couldn't resist asking as they were cooling down before going their separate ways. Naruto gave her a scorching look. "Look, Ino. Believe it or not, I'm not exactly in the mood to joke around with you right now." His signs were short and jerky. "I have things I need to do before we leave. I'm happy that you're taking your training as a kunoichi now, but my business is my own." Ino swallowed hard before snapping back. "All right, fine. Forgive me for being worried, Dobe." Naruto watched unrepentantly as she stormed away. "I'll fix it later. Right now I need to meet Tenten." "Ah, I wish I'd scheduled this for a different day." Shaking his head, he went to find the weapons specialist. Tenten was waiting where she normally trained as he approached. "Hey, Naruto. Ready to shop?" Naruto pulled out his paper and pen. "It sounds so unmanly when you put it that way." His eye twitched slightly in annoyance before he smiled and added, "But yeah, let's go. I'm sorry, but I'm gonna have to make this quick. We're leaving on an unexpected C rank at lunchtime, and I have to drop by a few places first." "Sounds good. What kind of weapon are you looking for?" Tenten clasped her hands behind her back and followed Naruto. He was getting really good at writing while he walked. "I'm not really sure myself. I'm working on my own taijutsu style, so it's hard to say what type. Something not very bulky, efficient and precise. Nothing that's too complicated to learn to use in a short time. A weapon I can use with a fluid taijutsu style, one that is close-ranged." "All right, so no katana and nothing flashy. Obviously you don't want kunai or shuriken either. You're looking for something special. One thing comes to mind right off the bat. Have you ever heard of denizen blades?" Tenten cocked her head in thought. "No. Should I have?" Naruto scribbled. Tenten laughed nervously. "I guess not really. I forget sometimes not everyone grew up the way I did. Well, I'll show you when we get to the shop. I think that's sort of what you're looking for." When the shop door swung open, Tenten's father greeted them both. His face didn't change at all as he recognized Naruto. "Welcome." Naruto blinked in surprise. Tenten only laughed. "Hey Dad, where are those two denizen knives we have? The slightly curved ones?" Naruto is looking to make a purchase. "Uzumaki Naruto, eh? Nice to meet you. I am Haruka Ama, Tenten's father and owner of this shop. I'll go fetch those knives." He winked at Naruto and disappeared into the back. Tenten laughed at Naruto's befuddled expression, misinterpreting his surprise at being treated normally for thinking her dad was strange. "I know he's a bit weird, but he's a good person, I promise." Naruto flushed and quickly wrote, "I don't mean to insult him. He's been nothing but kind. It's just unusual." He guessed Tenten and he weren't speaking of the same things, but just in case, he answered with a reply that could be taken either way. With a nod of understanding, Tenten smiled at him. "It's all right, really. He is unusual, and that's not an insult to him." Haruka returned from the storeroom holding two dark-colored blades. Ninja weapons couldn't shine after all. "Here you are, Naruto." Naruto examined the knives with a keen interest for several minutes. Finally, he shook his head and handed it to Tenten, picking up his notepad. "This is just what I need. It's amazing that you could tell what I was thinking when I had no idea." He heard Tenten's father give a little grunt of surprise as he wrote instead of speaking. Tenten shushed him with an angry look. Naruto bit his lip to keep it from quivering. "Not pity, anything but pity. I just need to get through this a day more." Luckily, Tenten seemed to hear his silent plea and spoke before her father could. "I'm just awesome like that," she boasted, trying to ease the tension. "It worked, but only somewhat. I'm glad to help anytime, though." Naruto gave her a small, sad smile. Thanks, Tenten. He scrawled simply, suddenly needing to get away. He paid for his purchase, along with holsters for the weapons, and left, with a serene nod to Tenten and her father. He could hear her scolding him as soon as the door closed. Better go get a dumb slug from Tsunade next. Naruto sighed to himself. It made no sense when Sasuke would be training with slugs about right now. If he really needed one, Sasuke could summon it. Sometimes old people were so weird. Naruto walked all the way to the hospital and found Tsunade. She smiled as he approached. Hey, Naruto. I trained Sasuke early this morning. Good luck on your mission. Keep this slug with you, her name is Amaya. Naruto nodded and took the slug, placing it on his shoulder. He winced slightly at the slimy feel on his hands. Wiping his hands on his pants, he wrote, Thanks, Bachan. With a wave, he left to return to Jiraiya's house. It was time to wear his new mask and grab a few last-minute things before his mission. Then, he supposed he'd best tell Jiraiya he'd be leaving. He scowled as he realized he didn't have a key. Sighing, he knocked on the door. Jiraiya opened it and let him in. Naruto held up his already written message. Going on a mission. Don't know exactly when I'll be back. Thanks for everything. Gonna grab a few things then head out. Jiraiya nodded. Thanks for telling me, kid. Naruto restrained himself from making a face back at the Sannin as he grabbed his things and left again. Sometimes people could be so tiring. Closing the door, Naruto rifled through his things and pulled out the face mask he'd purchased. If he was going for this look, he might as well cover his hair as well. It would make it easier to claim his inheritance, after all. The only reason the Sandaime was concerned was because he looked so much like his father. Shrugging off his jacket, Naruto pulled the face mask up over his nose. Donning his jacket again, he pulled up the hood over his hair. Much better. Now only his eyes could be seen, and though blue was an uncommon color for the Japanese, Naruto wasn't the only one around with blue eyes. As he started for the place their team was meeting, Naruto absently considered when Mizuki would be put on trial. A white-hot surge of anger filled him at the thought of the man. Being beat up didn't bother him anymore. However, taking his voice was something he couldn't forgive. Didn't he have enough handicaps already? Lost in thought, he didn't see the tall man coming until they had already run into each other. Naruto barely kept his feet and he stumbled backwards. It was Hatake Kakashi, the copy nin. Naruto wasn't very fond of the Cyclops, so he simply bowed slightly and kept walking. Kakashi wasn't finished, however. He smiled at Naruto. You're Minato-sensei's kid, right? You look just like him. Naruto held back a scowl. That's right. He wrote in reply. He hated this. Why wouldn't people just leave him alone? Kakashi couldn't contain his surprise. Why is Minato-sensei's son writing instead of speaking? Trauma? That shouldn't be happening. Minato's kid should be stronger than that. Why don't you speak? Naruto's fist clenched around the pen and his knuckles were white as he wrote. Thanks to my wonderful father, everyone in the village wants to kill me. When someone gets their throat slit, it's very unlikely they're going to speak again, Hatake. A bit put off, Kakashi frowned. I'm sorry about that, but it's not really Minato-sensei's fault. Naruto looked up at Kakashi incredulously. He's the one who sealed it into me. Pray tell, how is this not his fault? Kakashi was getting annoyed with this kid. He did what he had to save the village. Naruto's eyes were like ice chips. He didn't save the village. He passed the duty on to someone who couldn't protest. Me. And if I had a choice, the Kyuubi would have ripped you all apart then and there. Kakashi was taken aback at the venom. He was so young, but his bitterness was greater than most seasoned ninja. There was really nothing else to be said. I know Minato-sensei loved you, Naruto. He tried. Naruto stared at Kakashi with such piercing disbelief that the copy nin took a step backwards. Well, he sure had a funny way of showing it. He was an idealist, Hatake. There was no possible way he could truly believe they would treat me well. No Jinchuriki has ever been treated well, and he wasn't stupid enough to believe Konoha would be any different. He brushed past the older Nin and headed towards his team, not even allowing Kakashi a chance to reply. His team all seemed surprised at the foul mood radiating around him. "What's wrong with you, dope?" Sasuke questioned. Naruto glared at him and didn't reply. "Let's just go." Ino, Sasuke, and Kurenai exchanged glances. Kurenai sighed. "All right then, we're heading out to the wave country." Naruto sighed also. "Sorry, stuff just happened. I didn't mean to take it out on you." I smiled at them, a mimicry of Kakashi. It was 100% fake, just like Kakashi's. Kurenai rolled her eyes. She couldn't help it. He looked too much like Kakashi in that moment. She wasn't fond of Kakashi. "Once we reach the gates, you'll meet our client. Our mission is to safely escort him back to the country of Wave." Ino turned greedy eyes on Kurenai. "Him? Ooh, who are we escorting? A prince? A diplomat?" Kurenai chuckled at Ino's romanticism. "An old man. He's building a bridge in Wave." Ino wilted. "Oh well, that sucks." She turned her attention to Naruto. "What's with the mask and hood anyways? Baka?" Naruto tensed. "I would think that would be obvious, Ino." Ino cocked her head in confusion. "So the scars did bother him." "Yeah, I guess so." She chuckled nervously. They reached the gates without any more tense situations. Kurenai introduced them to Tazuna, who scoffed at their pooniness, and they were on their way. Naruto looked around in curiosity as they walked. "I've never been out of the village before," he commented idly to Ino and Sasuke. "I haven't either." Ino smiled at Naruto. Sasuke hadn't either. "Chin." He agreed. Naruto rolled his eyes at the raven. "Back to that again? For always preaching about how wonderful you Uchihas are, you sure lack proper grammar. HN isn't even a word." Sasuke smirked back at the blonde. "Chin," he said again just to annoy Naruto. Naruto didn't rise to the bait. "Hey, Kurenai-sensei, what do you think I should be working on before the Chunin exams?" Kurenai blinked at the question. "It's nice to know you're thinking ahead. You've already drastically improved your taijutsu. Your ninjutsu is already on par with many jounin, just from what I've seen. I would say, genjutsu. If we have time during our mission, I'd be happy to teach you all a few things." Ino squealed. "Thanks, Kurenai-sensei. What else should I work on?" Kurenai smiled. Perhaps they would do well at the Chunin exams, after all. You're focusing on your taijutsu with Guy and Naruto. That is probably your weakest point, so it's good that you're thinking about it. Your ninjutsu is average and probably good enough to make Chunin. All I would really say about you, Ino, is that you tend to be too cautious. While it balances Sasuke out, you should take a few risks every once in a while. Naruto smiled slightly. The team's not gonna ask, but he wants to know, too. Sasuke's eyebrow twitched in annoyance. That stupid dobe was right. Kurenai chuckled. "Thanks for that, Naruto. Sasuke, you're good at ninjutsu, subpar with genjutsu, and good with taijutsu. You need to keep improving in all three categories, but you're probably Chunin level. Your weakness is your pride, as many Uchiha. You shouldn't be afraid to ask your teammates for support." Sasuke scowled at the ground, not really taking her words seriously. Naruto flicked his shoulder. "She's right, team. You should listen." Sasuke growled at Naruto in reply. "Dope." They crossed a bridge and came upon a path flanked on either side by trees. Naruto blinked. "Oh look, a random puddle in the middle of the road when it hasn't rained for days." Ino and Sasuke's eyes snapped to the puddle. "Oh crap." Naruto gave them both a devilish grin. "Wanna jump in it?" Ino stifled a laugh. "I think it would be worthwhile." Sasuke grunted. "Chin. Don't H and me in sign language. It's just pointless." Naruto shot back before taking a running start and jumping into the puddle. Ino followed and made sure to land as hard as she could. There was a pained grunt. Sasuke watched, feigning disinterest. Uchihas did not jump in puddles. Kurenai-sensei held back a chuckle at her students. She canceled the genjutsu of a puddle with a soft kai. The demon brothers of the mist came up from the ground and attempted to attack Kurenai with their chains. Kurenai cast a quick genjutsu to fool them into thinking they had crushed her. She quickly hit them both on the head from behind. She turned to Tazuna. There is no way Missing Nin would be after me or my students. What have you not told us, Tazuna-san? Chapter 13 Wave Intro. Tazuna laughed nervously. What do you mean by that? He dodged the question. Kurenai's eyes flashed angrily. Don't avoid the question. You paid for a C-rank mission, which means there should be no Missing Nin involved. So what is going on here? Naruto looked from his sensei to his client, hoping the tension would disappear. Tazuna finally sighed. All right, fine. We didn't have the money, so we had no choice. It's Gatu. Gatu's the one who's after me. Ino frowned. Doesn't Gatu own some multimillion-dollar shipping company? Tazuna nodded. It's a front for his illegal activities. He doesn't want the bridge built because he wants a monopoly on wave, and he doesn't want us to be able to trade for goods elsewhere. The bridge would give us other places to do business, and he can't have that. So he's hired ninja to stop us. Kurenai growled. I understand if you can't pay at this moment, but the Hokage is an understanding man. If you would have told the truth, you could have paid the debt later and gotten a team of jounin to escort you. Doing things the way you have puts you in even more danger, and my students way over their heads. Sasuke grunted. I think we can take whatever happens, sensei. We need this mission to prepare for the exams. The bastard's right. Naruto added his own input. It'll be dangerous, but it's good training. In the future something similar could happen and we need to be prepared for that. Missions aren't usually what they seem, sensei. You'd know that even better than we do. Ino smiled shakily. I'm scared, but I'm ready to do this, Kurenai-sensei. Kurenai couldn't hold back a proud smile as she looked at her team. I understand. We will complete this mission. However, Tazuna, you will pay for a B rank or an A rank if that's what this turns into. The old man nodded vigorously. That lady was scary. He didn't want to argue with her. Yes, ma'am. Kurenai coughed to hide her chuckle. Good. As long as we're clear. Now tell me all you know about Gatu. Naruto tuned out as the old man blabbed about the shipping billionaire. He checked his knives in the sheaths absently before turning to Sasuke. How was training? Sasuke smirked back at him. Effective. Naruto rolled his eyes. Tsunade usually is. You're gonna have to give me a bit more than that, team. Sasuke's lips twitched the tiniest bit before he signed. Achin. In reply, he knew how much Naruto hated it. He just didn't care. Team. Naruto sighed and turned away, suddenly feeling jaded. The talk about Gatu had faded out as they got closer to Wave, because Tazuna was afraid someone would hear. They boarded a boat after some length of walking. The rest of the trip was spent in silence. It seemed to take days for the boater to paddle them to Wave across the water, though in reality it probably only took slightly over an hour. Naruto was itching to train, move, or to do basically anything away from his teammates. Lately being with people grated on his already fraying nerves, and he didn't want to have an explosion of tension here. It was bad enough he'd already said some things he didn't quite mean to Kakashi, a relative stranger. Talking to his teammates about this, it would just bring problems and baggage they definitely didn't need in an already tough situation. Snapped from his thoughts by a foreign presence, Naruto looked around. He couldn't tell quite where the person was, but the presence was elusive. He tried to warn his team, but they weren't looking at him, and he was too far away to get to them in time. His frantic motions stopped as he realized Kurenai had definitely noticed. The beautiful crimson eyes were scanning around, searching for the intruder. Kurenai's eyes widened, and a fraction of a second later Naruto's did, too. Sasuke. Ino. Get down. The two genin barely managed to throw themselves to the ground before a huge and deadly blade passed through the air, right where their necks had been. Ino gulped as the blade almost severed a tree trunk and became stuck in the tree. A tall man jumped to the hilt of the blade, landing gracefully. I see. Ninja on this level couldn't be taken care of by the demon brothers. The genjutsu mistress, Kurenai Yuhi. Kurenai pulled a kunai from her weapon's pouch, glaring. The demon of Kirigakure, Momochi Zabuza. I never expected to meet you here. Not even turning her gaze away, she addressed her team, protect Tazuna and stay back. He's out of your league. Sasuke scowled and started to protest, but Naruto dragged him backwards towards Tazuna. Follow orders, team. He signed almost too fast for Sasuke to read. Ino backed up and the three genins formed a triangle around Tazuna. Zabuza stared calmly at Kurenai. I'm sorry, but I'll need you to hand over the geezer, woman. I'm sorry as well, but I can't allow that to happen. Kurenai lifted her chin and prepared for a fight. Zabuza nodded. It was expected. Then let's cut the chit-chat here. I'll be killing that geezer right away. Tazuna gulped. Ino and Sasuke noticed. Don't worry, Tazuna-san. We'll protect you with our lives. Ino reassured him. To fail a mission gives a ninja a bad name. Watching this impassively, Zabuza gave a wry chuckle. It appears that I have to defeat the lot of you first. Zabuza pulled his sword from the tree and drifted downwards, landing lightly on the water. Kurenai watched motionless as Zabuza made a hand seal. Water began to swirl around him. Kirigakure no jutsu, he muttered. A wave of mist swept over the area, making visibility next to non-existent. Kurenai stepped back in front of her students. I assume he'll try to eliminate me first, but be ready for anything. Sasuke, Ino, follow Naruto's orders. Zabuza laughed. The sound echoed through the mist. Larynx, spine, lungs, liver, jugular vein, collarbone, kidney, and heart. Which vital area should I strike at first? Kurenai didn't move, still waiting for Zabuza to begin the fight. As if annoyed at her inactivity, Zabuza used body flicker and suddenly came in between Tazuna and the three genin. Or he would have, if it wasn't for the grip Naruto had on Tazuna's wrist. Naruto was tensed and ready, and he pulled Tazuna to the side with him as he jumped backwards. Shoving the old man behind him, Naruto unsheathed his denizen knives and dropped into a battle stance. He closed his eyes, and when they opened, they were a murky gray color. Kurenai quickly moved to stand beside Ino and Sasuke, who were picking themselves up from the leaps they'd made to get away from Zabuza. Zabuza wasn't paying attention to Kurenai, though. His eyes were locked onto Naruto's. Interesting brat you've got here. I've never seen a dojutsu like his. He spoke to Kurenai, as if deeming Naruto unimportant. Naruto suddenly lunged for Zabuza. The Nuke-nin blocked the blonde's slash with his insanely and pointlessly giant sword. Not bad, kid. Naruto's arms shook as he held back the sword. Was this the power of a high-rank ninja? He had a ways to go. Jumping back, he ducked as the sword passed over his head. To the side he signed, "May I fight him, Kurenai-sensei?" Kurenai sighed. She'd been hoping to avoid this. Naruto was definitely not up to Zabuza's level. But then again, he would never get there without fighting opponents stronger than him. She could just jump in if anything went wrong. Giving Ino and Sasuke a look that said, "Follow," she moved in front of Tazuna. "Go ahead, Naruto." Ino, Sasuke, back him up. This was supposed to be their mission, after all. Naruto's feral grin nearly split his face in two. Let's get this party started. Zabuza's expression didn't change the slightest bit. Kids pretending to be ninja will die anyways, so it doesn't matter if I kill them or someone else does. Ino shook slightly. She was scared. She glanced at Sasuke and saw that he seemed scared as well. She could help him. Throwing aside her fear, Ino stood tall. "Bring it on, you cowprint-clad freak." Naruto's face almost turned purple from holding back laughter. Leave it to Ino to come up with the dumbest-sounding insult possible. She was so good at it. Honestly, forehead? Couldn't she do better than that? Sasuke's lips twitched with suppressed laughter as well, his fears forgotten. Zabuza didn't seem to find this very funny. He swung his ridiculously large sword, causing two genin to leap backwards. He was shocked when the blonde one ducked under his sword. There was no way he could have predicted that move. Naruto stabbed the ex-mist Nin in the midsection with his denizen knives. Unfortunately for him, Zabuza turned into a puddle of water. Mizu Bunshin. Sigh. Kurenai stared at Naruto for several seconds, surprised herself. Abruptly, she remembered Naruto's dojutsu was active. He'd probably turned back time several times throughout the fight to prevent various injuries. The value of his dojutsu began to dawn on Kurenai. He could know events that were happening before they took place, and therefore predict the moves his opponent would make. Zabuza came out of the mist. Not bad, kid. Must have something to do with that annoying dojutsu of yours. He was very nonchalant for someone who'd just been stabbed. No matter, I won't make the same mistake again. He frowned somewhat when he saw the three kids making signs, apparently talking to each other. They weren't anything he recognized. What were they planning? Not that it mattered. Another person, presumably an enemy, suddenly body flickered in. Zabuza-sama, we have been summoned. It was a boy from the tone. Zabuza swore. Right when things were about to get good, too. We'll meet again, woman brats. He told Kurenai, before disappearing along with his companion in a swirl of mist. The mist technique over the area disappeared. Naruto sighed. They hadn't gotten to fight much, and had wasted a lot of precious time. Releasing his dojutsu, he turned to Kurenai, pouting. That was lame. Kurenai sighed. I wouldn't go wishing for danger, Naruto. It will come regardless. Despite that, well done, you three. You protected Tazuna in a tense situation. The three genins exchanged glances. So what now? Ino spoke up. Tazuna finally spoke. Thank you, all of you. Please allow me to host you at my house. Suddenly polite, old man? Afraid we'll leave you to die. Naruto snorted to himself. Kurenai, however, just smiled. That would be appreciated, Tazuna-san. Shall we go there now? That is fine. Tazuna nodded. The old man led the way to his house. When they arrived, he introduced Team 8 to his daughter and her son. They sat down for dinner. Inari didn't even look up as he was being introduced. You're all gonna die, he said gloomily. Team 8 ignored him. That is, except Naruto. He glared at the brat, wishing for the world that he could yell at the kid. Ugh, this is depressing. Kurenai politely thanked the family for the meal, and they all began to dig in. Throughout the dinner, Mr. Doom and Gloom Inari couldn't keep his mouth shut about how they were all going to fail. Naruto ate his food quickly, wanting to get away as soon as possible. Inari's whining was really grating on his nerves. When Inari made a comment about how they knew nothing about hardship, that was it. Slamming his chopsticks down onto the table, he stood suddenly, glared venomously at Inari, and stormed out of the room. There was a long moment of silence, which was only broken by Kurenai's sigh of resignation. I'm sorry about that. Naruto's had a hard life. If you let him cool off, he'll be fine. He's not normally so short-tempered. Ino pushed back from her seat at the table. I'm gonna make sure he's okay, she said softly. Kurenai smiled at her. Please do. She was surprised when Sasuke stood as well, following Ino outside. Maybe they have better teamwork than I'd thought. Ino looked to Sasuke when they came outside. Any idea how to find Naruto? Sasuke smirked as several explosions came from the west. That would be the dobe.